meeting of the Alexander County Board of Commissioners into session at this time. And if you all would please rise. At this time, Commissioner Berkey Jennings will give the invocation, followed by Commissioner Judy Moose, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your heads, please. Loving and gracious God, you're indeed the giver of all gifts, and we thank you today for all your blessings. We ask that you bless the citizens of Alexander County abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Help us to make decisions that are good for all. Dear Lord, grant us humility to always seek your will in all that we do, and say, Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I need to announce so that folks that will be watching on TV later, because this is a taped session, our system has been having some technical difficulties, so the picture may come and go. We apologize for the inconvenience this may cause anyone. However, I have been assured by our IT department that this will be taken care of before our next meeting. Tonight, we have several special recognitions. And at this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Jennings, who has a special recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go up to the podium. I would ask that Ray and Marie Sight come up to the podium. Y'all stand right here just 1 minute. I'm going to read the plaque, the key to the county, and Mike, I'm going to have them turn around when I say this. The Alexander County Board of Commissioners bestows this key to the county upon Ray and Marie Sight for their dedicated service to Alexander County and long-term support of the Alexander County Senior Center, presented this day, November 3rd, 2014. So I'm going to take it out of the box. You get to keep the box too, by the way. I'm just going to take it out of the box. If you'll turn around, Micah Henry is going to decide if he'll stand between us. Micah, does that look good? It's not for me, but it's for them.
On three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Have a seat. I have some more things I want to say. And Harry Robertson, where are you? Thank you. I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm going to talk about the stripes. This is about Marie. And most of you, I'm sure all of you, hopefully all of you, know the Sight family from this county. They're icons in this county. far and wide. But I'm going to talk about Marie. Marie volunteered and was very active during the fundraising efforts for the construction of the Alexander County Senior Center. Due in no small part to her efforts, the Senior Center was dedicated on October 4th, 1992. She also served on the Board of Trustees of the Senior Center and was first appointed to the board on August 7th, 2001, to a 2-year term. She did such a magnificent job, they asked her to come back for 2 more years. So she was reappointed again on September 8th, 2003, to her second 2-year term. And then they just couldn't let go of her. She was reappointed again for a 3rd term on July 25th, 2005, which expired on July 2007. God bless Marie Sipe. Now I'll talk about Ray. Can y'all hear me okay? Ray Sipe currently serves as president of Sipe Lumber Company, Incorporated. The Sipe family has been active in the lumber business since 1938, when Mr. Lawrence Sipe, the father of Earl, Carl, and Ray, began buying and selling land, timber, and lumber that year. Eventually, Lawrence, and I remember Lawrence, I just have to add this personal comment, because my father, Ray Jennings, and Helen Hammer used to do his land transactions back in the day when I was a little kid, so I remember your dad. Eventually, Lawrence turned over the day-to-day operation of the lumber business to his 3 sons, and the business grew into what is today, some 76 years later, Sipe Lumber Company, Incorporated. Now, according to what the research I've been able to uncover, is the longest continually operated family-owned business that exists in Alexander County today. So that's a great accomplishment. Sipe Lumber Company and Ray and his brothers, the late Earl and Carl Sipe, and other family members whom still work at the Sipe Lumber Company have contributed greatly to the growth of Alexander County. I bet if you went down any road in Alexander County and the owners of that house that originally built it said, I bought my lumber supplies from Sipe Lumber Company. And they're all over the county. Now this is the other part that inspires me a lot. Some of you may know this, may not know this, but I'm going to talk about it. It's kind of interesting. Chris, if you'll stand up. Chris Knowlton. We have a representative from the Disabled American Veterans here today, and he's also a member of the American Legion, and he's going to talk about some Veterans Day activities, but this is what I want to mention. It is also worth mentioning that Ray is also a member of the Greatest Generation, having served in the United States Army during World War II. He participated in the D-Day invasion of France on June 6, 1944, and served in General George Patton's 9th Division of the 3rd Army. Sipe fought in France and Germany during some of the fiercest fighting and battles of World War II. He was wounded in battle and received the Purple Heart for his wounds and the Bronze Star for bravery. God bless Ray Sipe. I have one more. Go ahead. I have one more fact that some people know and some people don't know, and I asked the young lady if it was okay to say this. Vicki, if you'll stand up just one second, who is Ray Sipe's daughter. Vicki's name came from the nurse that treated Ray when he was injured during World War II with a piece of shrapnel. So Ray named Vicki after the nurse that treated him during World War II, which I think is a great honor.
Victoria.
Victoria. Is it okay to call you Vicki, though, isn't it? Okay. But I wanted to add those notes to the presentation, but obviously your family, in particular your mother and father, and for the other family members that are here, are really iconic in this family, I mean, in this county, and the family is iconic in this family. So it's a pleasure to have presented to you, both of you, Ray and Marie, the key to the county. We're honored to do so.
Do you have anything you want to say?
We think,
Is that all you want to say?
well,
Come on up here to the podium.
well, I want to thank all the people that in here that bought anything at South Lumber Company for their housing and everything. We proud to furnish for them.
Ray, if you don't mind, come up here so everybody can hear you. You can stand right back here.
Ray, stand right back here,
Yeah.
speaking to this microphone.
Well, we thank you all for this year. Nice gathering, and that's a big honor to get the key to the county. I don't know hardly what to say about that, but anyhow, we want to thank everybody that bought material from us, and really that's about all I have to say about it. I mean, you know, I'm 92 years old, and I've been here a long time, and I'm still here to work. I don't know if you call it working or not, but today there's a big old trail load of reinforcement wire come in, and they got this, some of it now is 8 foot wide and 12 foot long, and I mean, that trailer was loaded down, it was that high, and I went over there and helped the boy to get that off, and I had 2 boys that helped me, and I told them, you know, after we got done, I told them how to get it off with the forklift. We used 2 forklifts to get it off so we wouldn't push it off the other side. And I just said to some of them when I got through, I said, it's good to have a good boss man to tell them what to do. Two brothers, we in this business, and we worked hard, and we worked at night. And my brother Carl, he was crippled, and he'd always count the lumber and help work in the office and looked after the planer mill and get the lumber dressed. And we hauled lumber to West Virginia. I don't know how, to them coal mines up there and build houses up there in West Virginia. We hauled to Bluefield, West Virginia, Grundlin, West Virginia, and Mullen, West Virginia, and back to West Virginia. And it's 200 miles from here up there. And I don't know if there's trouble here or not, but when I come back from home sometime up there, I'd have to nearly shut one eye because I drove that night and to come back that in, and we'd pick up stuff to bring back. Now, I mean, you know, anything we could make a penny at, we'd pick it up coal. We haul lime, sheetrock, and that's when we got in the building business. I guess the biggest part of you don't know, we make furniture. We made furniture for 2 or 3 years, and we had a salesman in around Baltimore and New York and up in there, and Washington, all up in there. And we sold living room furniture for 2 or 3 years, but it went to the bad one year back when Truman was in. And so we decided we'd haul this building material back after the war, you know, people wanting to build houses and things. And we decided to get off and get out of that furniture bed and get back into the building material bed. So that's where we got started in the building material business on the county. We just got started hauling stuff back. People wanted it, you know. We just started hauling it back.
Don't leave yet. Micah, could you get a picture of the whole family if everybody comes up there? So anybody that's related to Marie and Ray Sipe, would you come up there to the podium and get that county seal behind so we can get a family portrait?
Now, I just asked a few of my people, family to come. I didn't tell none of the shop hands, none of the other stuff.
I'll just let them make it a family portrait.
Stand right here in front of this here, Mom.
Will.
Will, make sure that Ray and Marie hold that plaque. Can you get everybody in there in the seal?
Daniel, come over here.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And you know, the man and woman, like Ray both live. There ain't many people, you know, the man and wife both living, have got 2 children in the 5th generation. And we've got 2 in the 5th generation. That's Kim's boy, oldest boy, and she's the grandma. That girl right I don't want to keep y'all out. I can tell you a whole lot of things.
It can definitely keep you entertained for a while, I've heard. I have.
I just tell them about all them first nurses in the hospital. Beat all right. I was in the hospital one time, and as I was wounded, before this about over with, they put me in the 100 General Hospital around Purdue, France. And you know, all Purdue, France said. Good menu.
No, I know a real good story, but especially about the way Marie and Ray met, and it's an absolutely beautiful love story. It's one of the best ones I've ever heard, really. And I'm not going to tell it tonight, but what you need to do sometime is when you stop by a Sype Lumber Company, go by there and tell them you want to sit down and talk to them a little while about that. It's very interesting about the way they started out, and I got to hear that story one night, and it's unbelievable. And his time that he spent in the military, and then come back and make the tremendous contribution, you and your wife, to this county and the things you've done, and the fact that Sype Lumber Wholesale is still there and still going strong, and it's because of that hard work and that dedication of Penny Pension that made your company so successful, and also your entire family. Thank you, folks, for that contribution you made to our county. Good folks. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I make one more comment?
You may.
In talking to Mr. Sype the other night to get information about his family and himself and Marie and his service in the military, he said one of the, besides being married to Marie, one of the happiest events of his life is when they were being issued uniforms that would be worn in the South Pacific, because after the war was over with in Europe, they were going to send the soldiers to the South Pacific to possibly invade Japan. Unfortunately, that didn't have to happen. But he said the United States government confiscated a German luxury liner, and he and one other fellow had a suite on that luxury liner that took them back from England to New York City, and they had a swimming pool on there, and they were in a stateroom, and so he went from living in a foxhole to living in a stateroom. I thought that was kind of interesting also. And hot water in a shower.
Thank you all very much. We have a couple other special recognitions we'd like to make tonight, and at this time, I'm not going to go to the podium because the people that I want to recognize are up here with me. As all of you know, there are 3 of our commissioners that will be leaving us after the election. And they have contributed and made a difference in our community. And, you know, when you serve as a county commissioner, you take the good with the bad with the good. And sometimes, you know, there's criticisms, there are good things to do and bad things to do. And through all of it all, we've stood fast. And I feel like that these folks have made a tremendous asset. And they've been a tremendous asset, and they've made contributions to this county. At this time, I'd like to recognize and present a key to the county to Commissioner Judy Moose. And I'm going to read what it says here. It says, the Alexander County Board of Commissioners bestows this key to the county upon Judy Moose in appreciation of her dedicated service as an Alexander County Commissioner, December 2010 until November 2014. Judy, I'd like to take the opportunity to present you with this and tell you thank you very much for your service and your contributions that you've made to Alexander County. We appreciate everything you've done. Thank you, ma'am. And you
It's been a very interesting 4 years for me. I've been a lifelong resident of this county. My family in 2 years will have lived on the same farm for 100 years, and we're still farming it. I love Alexander County. I thank God for the fact that I have been allowed to live where I have and among the people that I have been allowed to live with. And I would just like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm not through. I'll continue to be the same person that I've always been. And I have certainly enjoyed my time with these other guys. It's been a battle. You just don't know what it's like to be a woman among 4 men. I mean, they don't want to let you win, but they know all along I'm going to.
Does that go for me too? I mean, you feel that way about me?
At this time, I'd like to present a key of the county to James Berkey Jennings, and this says, the Alexander County Board of Commissioners bestows this key of the county upon James Berkey Jennings in appreciation of his dedicated service as an Alexander County Commissioner, December 2010 until November 2014. Mr. Jennings, like this presentation, to you, sir, and I'd like to say it's been an honor to serve with you. I've enjoyed it, and thank you for making your contribution to the citizens of Alexander County, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Can everybody hear me? I'll sit down and talk, probably be the best thing to do. Larry said a key thing. I was elected by the citizens of Alexander County. And I hope I met their expectations as to what it meant to serve them. Because we don't serve, even though sometimes people think that we make decisions that affect only us. We make decisions that affect the citizens of Alexander County that elected us. And from my perspective, that's what drove me to be the best I could be as a county commissioner, as a representative of the citizens of Alexander County. And I'm very proud to say that I hope I have done that. I would like one indulgence, Mr. Chairman, if I may. My daughter, Jessica, is in the back, and she was here, and she probably won't come up the front. I'll probably have to drag her up here. But there was a picture that was made when I was sworn in, and Micah, if you don't mind, I'd like for her to come forward and have you take a picture of both of us with this plaque. Do you mind if I step over here and
Step over to the podium?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. The batteries are dead. I gotta go out in the car and get my other camera.
Larry, you want to go ahead and make the other
I'll
presentation?
make the other presentation while we're waiting because he has his recorder going. He'll know who it is. The other one that we'd like to present tonight is like to present to Andrew Ferguson. And it says here, the Alexander County Board of Commissioners bestows this key to the county upon Andrew Ferguson in appreciation of his dedicated service as an Alexander County Commissioner, February through November 2014. As most of you know, Commissioner Ferguson was elected by the Alexander County Executive Board of Republican Party to take over the office when Darrell Robertson resigned to become the engineer for Alexander County. Andy stepped up to the plate and has done an outstanding job as a commissioner here in the county. And Andy, I call him Andy, I've known him since he was a baby. But Andy, I'd like to, on behalf of the Alexander County Commissioners, I'd like to present you with this key to the county and tell you thank you, sir, for the service that you've given to the citizens of this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Well, it's been quite a week. So this is probably a record for the shortest tenure of a commissioner for a while. Tomorrow will be election day. We'll have 3 new faces sitting up here. The only word of advice that I have to them, whoever they are, is no one cares about what you've done. They're going to care about what you're going to do. All right? So the answer to the question that everyone has been asking me is this it? And I'll have to say that I'll have to tell you in about 2 years. But I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. If you all would like to go ahead and have your pictures taken, please proceed. I think you can do the 3, then I think he wanted to get a picture with he and his daughter, then the 3 of you need to have your pictures taken together, if you would, please.
She's really happy with this. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
1 more,
Might be better just get it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I'm nervous for some reason. I've had a hard day. Had a hard day.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any commissioner that has a report tonight?
I do.
Okay.
Don't everybody leave just because I'm getting ready to speak, but I do have some thoughts I'd like to share with you. In their kind of parting comments. And I'd like to start off by, I know Russell Green, before I start, I see him sitting in the back, and I want to make this comment. When we would work together on different things or have discussions, he would always say, yes, sir. And Russell, what would I tell you to say? My name is Berkey. And that's who I am. And that's who I'll always be. But I will quote Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I will hone in on a couple of, actually 3 words when I read this. It's not a poem, it's really a writing that he did. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. Keep those 3 words in your mind. Redeemed social condition. to know that one life has breathed easier because you lived. This is to have succeeded. And I want to read, I wrote down some thoughts of some accomplishments that we as commissioners and as we county administration, as we county staff have made from 2010 to 2014. I didn't do it. We did it. If you use a football analogy, there's no I in team, and this is a team as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to start out with the first topic is education, and I'll try to be brief. I'm going to read this fairly quickly. The expansion of the Alexander campus of CVCC by purchasing 24 acres of property across the street and 2 buildings from the current across the street from the current campus, and obtaining grant funding from the Golden Leaf Foundation and EDA funds, as well as county matching funds to develop technical vocational training such as upholstery, machining, welding, industrial maintenance, and workforce development training for various certifications. Linda Graham talked about this in our last meeting. Development of cohort program at CVCC for Alexander County High School students. Seniors now have the capability to take college-level courses at the Alexander campus of CVCC without having to travel to other community colleges outside the county. And as we discovered a month or so ago, it's going to be expanded to juniors. And our superintendent of schools is here, and so she's very familiar with that. Increased low wealth funding for Alexander County schools due to loss of low wealth funding in the 2013-2014 budget in the amount of $250,000. Economic development is the next topic. Economic development incentive grant for Craftmaster Furniture in order to rehab the former Broy Hill Furniture Building. If you remember going down Old Highway 90 with the old, abandoned, if you will, empty shell of a building Broy Hill Furniture used to look like and what it looks like now since Craftmaster has rehabbed it, it's a totally different place. Property tax incentives for Brushy Mountain Golf Course for the construction of the new clubhouse and lodge and motel units. And if you hadn't had an opportunity to go out there, the lodge units, which are motel units, are almost finished. We will have a nice place in the county for people to stay if they visit the county. New zoning regulations for Brushy Mountain Golf Course, and I have in parentheses commercial, recreational, and in order to permit the construction of the lodge and motel units. Site preparation for industrial speculative building at the Alexander County Industrial Park. That's important because in order for us to attract industry into this county, we have to have a place to build a spec building. So the site is ready. David, I don't know if he's still here, but he was here. So when it happens, we have the place for the building to be built. In addition to the Alexander County Economic Development Corporation of a Small Business Development Coordinator who directs the activities related to the Buy Local campaign. And I see Bud and Judy Kaywood that are always here at county commission meetings. They also started the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County, and they also have been very involved in the Buy Local campaign. With one component of the campaign is the production of business spotlight videos, which can be viewed on the YouTube and local government channel. This addition was necessary to fill the void that was left by the closing of the local Chamber of Commerce. Funds for new water system improvements is the Bethlehem Ellendale Water Project, which is approximately costing $3.2 million of interest-free funds from North Carolina DENR, which is North Carolina Division of Environmental and Natural Resources, via the North Carolina Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. I understand Darrell Robertson is going to be heavily involved in helping the engineering of that project. And this is something some of you may know and some of you may not know. Russell Green, the Emergency Management Director, helped me find out what was the most dangerous intersection in the county as far as accidents was concerned. And it was at the bottom of the hill where Wayside Church Road intersects with Highway 16 South as you're getting ready to cross the bridge because so many people were turning to the left coming from Alexander County, and so many people were, and I know I was involved in that because I drove up that road for 24 and a half years coming back from Charlotte. But working with our North Carolina House Representative Mark Hollow, we were able to obtain the funds to construct a turn lane at that intersection. The right-of-way is being obtained as we speak, and construction is to begin in the first quarter of next year. And that will make it easier for people to come in and go out of Alexander County. Place more emphasis on identifying abandoned and dilapidated structures that need to be demolished for safety and public health reasons. And Judy K. Wood, I read your letter and appreciate that letter that you sent. The house that we demolished across from PJ's Fish Camp in Bethlehem. Next, I want to talk about recreation tourism. Part F funding, that's Parks and Recreation Trust funding and county matching funds for the creation of the Rocky Face Mountain Recreation Area. A 318-acre park with walking and hiking trails, rock climbing, and a picnic shelter. And we have also obtained a second Part F fund, which requires county matching funds that we haven't approved yet. I believe we have those in contingency, do we not, for this year's budget?
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
I think so, yes.
Okay. I will tell you this, just to back up, so the 318 acres was the county's matching part of that. Since its opening in September 12th, 2012, over 40,000 individuals have visited the park. And the county manager, Rick French, will tell you that what has really become a lot of interest there is rock climbing. Not only the hiking, but rock climbing. Of course, there's races over there too. Creation of Alexander County Visitor Center, co-located with the Lucas Mansion at the Midnight Center. This was also done because of the closing of the Chamber of Commerce. Telling you all these things is there's two sources of revenue in the county that operates the county: sales tax revenue and property tax revenue. These enhancements to the Lucas Mansion, the Visitor Center, Rocky Face Park, recreation area, all help tourism come into the county. Hopefully people spend money. That's tax revenue. Law enforcement. Construction of new state-of-the-art Alexander County Law Enforcement Detention Center that contains 164 beds at a cost of $8.5 million. In my memory, that's the most expensive capital project that's ever been undertaken in Alexander County. Obtain funds of approximately $1.5 million to repair and upgrade the existing Alexander County Courthouse starting in early 2015. And also the county engineer, Darrell Robertson, is going to be heavily involved in that. And one of the things that I'm proud of all these things, but one of the things that I'm, I guess, most proud of is the county commission allowing us to form a veterans committee. A creation of a committee that brings together representatives of various veterans organizations, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Disabled American Veterans, and a representative of the Alexander County Schools. And Dr. Hefner, I appreciate you letting Jeff Peel participate in that, Dr. Jeff Peel. A representative from churches and a representative from Alexander County Veterans Service Office in order to more effectively coordinate the various veterans activities in Alexander County, including the Memorial Day. And this past Memorial Day, we also installed the Blue Star Memorial marker on the courthouse square, if any of you have seen that. And the Veterans Day ceremony, which are coming up on November the 11th. I hope you all know that Veterans Day is also always on November the 11th. Also, the activities committee include the recording of a series of DVDs entitled Our Veterans, Our Heroes. And that's where I learned a lot about Mr. Ray Sipe, the fact that Victoria was named after the nurse that treated him, because he said that in his video. That has captured stories of veterans from various wars and conflicts going back to World War II, Korean conflict, and matter of fact, there is no peace treaty that's ever been signed from the Korean conflict, Vietnam, and others. that can be archived in Alexander County libraries and schools for future generations to view. And I would close by saying, I didn't do these things, we did these things. And we did them, going back to the words I read from Ralph Waldo Emerson, is because it, let me find my quote again, I didn't want to lose it, but I have. Bear with me 1 minute. I can't find it now, but here it is. A redeemed social condition. And all these things we've done have added to a redeemed social condition in Alexander County. So thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Jennings. Anyone else?
I did want to mention one thing. Tomorrow, and I know this is going to be playing, we hope, on Tuesday, if the videos works out. But for those that are listening out on the radio and in the audience today, tomorrow, November the 4th, is the day that we go to elect our leaders in our county, our state, and this country. And for over 200 years, the men and women of this country, our fellow citizens, have fought and died for us to have that right to go vote. And I would appreciate it if everyone would take the freedoms that we enjoy in this country seriously and go vote for the people that you believe are best to lead. So thank you.
Okay, we have the adoption of the agenda. I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of adding on 14B will be a memorandum, an agreement with CVCC, and also on item number 13, budget ordinance amendment, there'll be an amendment added, number 14. Make that in the form of a motion with the additions.
I make a motion of the additions that you have just described.
I'll second it.
Motion's made, second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Item number 1 on the agenda tonight, we have one young lady that would like to speak, Cecilia Tad. And while Cecilia's coming forward, I'll give you a little information about her. She was the representative from Alexander County at the Youth Summit of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners meeting in Asheville. And she represented Alexander County well. Mr. French and I had the opportunity to have breakfast with her.
Good evening, County Commissioners. My name is Cecilia Tatt, and I was chosen to represent Alexander County 4-H at the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners in Buncombe County on August 15th through 16th. Prior to attending the event, each participant were asked to complete several activities to help prepare them. I had an interview with Alexander County Manager Rick French, and I was given a tour of the County Commissioner office by Mr. French. I also took a tour of the new Alexander County Sheriff Office led by Detective Bob Benfield, an officer for the Sheriff's Department. I met with Sheriff Chris Bowman also. I also attended a County Commissioner meeting held at the Alexander CVCC campus. I interviewed 3 county commissioners prior to the Youth Summit, which included Chairman Larry Yoder, Mr. Andrew Ferguson, and Mrs. Judy Moose. I also did research on all the county commissioners and history of Alexander County. I submitted a scrapbook of the Youth Summit of all the required assignments. This was the 5th annual North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Youth Summit held in Buncombe County, North Carolina. On Friday, the youth were introduced to the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners President Ray Jeffers, whom at 25 years old in 2008 was elected to Pershing County Board of Commissioners. He addressed the group with partnerships of youth organizations of 4-H, Boys and Girls Club, and FFA. And then they had a dinner at the Buncombe County Jail and were given a tour of the judicial complex. After dinner, we were guided on a walking tour of Urban Town and public art walking tour of downtown Asheville. Saturday morning, the youth had breakfast with the elected county officials, and I spoke with County Commissioner Chairman Larry Yoder, Judy Moose, and Rick French. Mr. Yoder invited me to attend the county commissioner meeting to address the county commissioners of my experience in attending the youth summit. We also attended a general session with the county officials where we were introduced to Dr. Vince Corvario, founder and director, Center for Risk Communications, about the building, repairing, and maintenance trust with government and public distrust in elected process and managing the decisions by elected office. He challenged us with a quote when speaking to a group. Remember, crafting a message with 27 words, 9 seconds, and 3 messages is all you need. To include the activities for the Youth Summit participation in bottom line budget stimulation, which engages groups in stimulating a county budget to help them understand the county commissioners to do balance a budget for their county. I really learned a lot about our government in Alexander County. Thank you again for the opportunity.
You're welcome. We're glad you were there. And I do apologize to Commissioner Moose. She was sitting there with us. It was the three of us there, Commissioner Moose, myself, and Mr. French. And we had a wonderful dinner. And the thing that stuck with me when I came home about that meeting and you being there was what he had told us. It's 27 words and 9 seconds. A very powerful statement he made in some of the examples that he used that day. It's things that we really need to remember. And I know that all of you had a real good time there. That's the 3rd time that I've got to see the youth that were involved in the summit and get you all to take part in what goes on with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners and with local government. And we do appreciate you being there very much.
Thank y'all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's my scrapbook.
All right. Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you for not being nervous.
Item number 2 on the agenda, Veterans Day ceremony. I'd like to call on Chris Knowlton, DAV Commander. If you would come forward, please.
It is my honor to be the commander of the Alexander County Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 84. But I'm here this evening on behalf of the Alexander County Veterans Committee to invite all veterans to the Veterans Day celebration on Tuesday, November 11th at 11 o'clock at the Alexander Central High School Auditorium. There will be a program honoring the veterans for their service, and lunch will be provided to all veterans and their spouses free of charge. I would also like to take this time to mention that every Tuesday morning from 7 to 10 o'clock, the DAV on Kerrigan Road has an open coffee call to all veterans. We ask that only veterans attend this coffee call. This is a free service and includes coffee, donuts, and the old military favorite, SOS. This is a good place for veterans, regardless of service or rank, to get together and talk about their time in the service. We also use this time to disseminate information to you about subjects that affect veterans' benefits and their rights. One last thing I would like to mention is that the DAV Auxiliary Unit 84 will host a poor boys supper free for all veterans and their families this Friday, November 7th, from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. at the DAV building on Kerrigan Road.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Chairman, may I also mention that Mr. Knowlton is also the Vice Commander of the American Legion Post and Taylorsville also, 170.
Wearing 2 or 3 hats.
Yes, he does.
Keeps him busy. 3. I thought it was 3. I wasn't sure. I thought it was 3, but I wasn't going to say for sure. That's why I said 2 or 3. And we do.
To go to the VFW meeting right now.
Very good, sir. And thank you for all that you do. Item number 3 on the agenda tonight, Christmas parade announcement. Call on Mr. Dwayne Coley and Mr. Lenny Rogers.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. The Alexander County Christmas Parade is scheduled for the first Saturday in December, which this year is Saturday the 6th. And this is the 68th annual Christmas Parade. We've been doing lots and lots of research to try to uncover exactly how old the Christmas parade is, and the best information we can glean from records is the 68th annual. The Christmas parade always serves as kickoff to the holiday season, and this year is going to be no exception. The 2014 version of the Christmas parade is again being sponsored by our Alexander County government as a way to enhance the community in which we live. The early deadline for parade entries is Wednesday, November the 5th, which is just around the corner. And we hope that persons in the audience, as well as those watching and listening over the radio and television, will take advantage of the fees that will be increasing after that date. Early response will save businesses, churches, civic organizations, or individuals money, and we all like to save money. We want everyone to take advantage of this opportunity to get in the parade early. We actually started a push for entries early in the year. We started in about a month earlier than usual. However, as we approached the early deadline on Wednesday, we're discovering that people just wait till the last minute sometimes anyway. Our goal for this year's parade was not to increase cost for entries, but to encourage participants to respond earlier and take advantage of discounts that we could offer them. Our entries in the past few days have picked up significantly. We're still eager to have businesses, civic organizations, churches, political groups, politicians, etc., that usually participate to go ahead and respond, get your name in the pot, and pay your registration fee to take advantage of early registration. Last year, we made a few changes to the parade, which the steering committee liked, so we're going to keep them involved in the plan for this year's parade. The parade lines up at Alexander Central High School, the Alexander County Administrative Offices, the Alexander County Social Services Offices, the Alexander County Senior Center, and the Alexander County Board of Education. At these locations, we can easily accommodate the 200 entries, which is our maximum capacity for the parade. The parade will proceed down Lyledown Road to Main Avenue, turn right and go to the intersection of Main Avenue Drive. At Main Avenue Drive, the parade will be videoed for future broadcast over the government channel, as well as live broadcast on our favorite radio station, WACB. The parade will turn right onto Main Avenue Drive, proceed to the intersection of Highway 16, where it will make a quick zigzag onto Highway 16 before turning right onto First Avenue. Then the parade turns left onto 7th Avenue to return to its starting location. As of today, we have about 60 to 70 entries. All these entries have been paid and are ready to roll. We're still asking for another 6 or so commercial floats, and we're talking to some folks who have expressed interest. Many of our our county EMS and fire and rescue vehicles have responded. However, we're still missing about half of these entries. We have a few beauty queens, several churches, some cheerleaders and ball teams, but there's still plenty of room for others to respond, and we welcome them eagerly. The early deadline is here, and we want individuals and organizations to save money and participate in the parade this year. The parade provides community visibility, the publicity of the radio broadcast, and then the rebroadcast of the parade on the government channel, which makes the 68th annual Alexander County Christmas Parade a bargain in anyone's book. Entry forms can be downloaded at www.alexandercountync.gov/parade, or send entry questions to alexandercountychristmasparade@gmail.com, or I'm happy to take your request via the phone, 632-1366, or 320-7614. You're supposed to be writing all this down.
I know where you
She's
are.
got it. The pre-parade activities are just about complete. We have the permits for the parade from the state. We have floats contracted. We have signage underway. We have a grand marshal who has said yes, so we're getting ready with our preparations and we're getting ready to roll. We simply need the public to respond in order to get all of our entries up to a level that we'll be excited about, which is in the ballpark of 200. I'm pleased to announce to you first and foremost, because it's not been announced to the public yet, that our Grand Marshal for the 68th Annual Alexander County Christmas Parade is going to be Dr. Russell W. Falkenberry. Dr. Falkenberry has tirelessly served families in Alexander County by practicing family medicine here in our county for the past 40 years. He is retiring in December. Dr. Falkenberry grew up in Kershaw, South Carolina, and went to the University of South Carolina, where he graduated in 1970. He then graduated from Bowman Gray Medical School, which is now Wake Forest, in 1974. He went to Richmond, Virginia, to do an internship in obstetrics and gynecology. In 1975, he moved to Alexander County and opened private practice as a family medical professional. He continued to work in this area 3 to 4 years before joining forces with what was to become Family Care. He was board certified in family medicine in 1978. Family Care operated in several locations and was with a variety of physicians. However, Dr. Falkenberry remembers fondly his relationships with such outstanding professionals as Dr. Walter Long, Dr. Han Chung, Dr. Alex Moffett. He contributes his years of longevity in practice to the high caliber of professionals in his office and their commitment to patient care. In 1973, Dr. Falkenberry married his wife, Dixie. They have 2 sons, Ben Falkenberry and Matt Dyson. The loves of his life are his 2 grandchildren, Hank and June Dyson, who reside in Catawba County. Ben and his wife, Allison, live in Salisbury, where Ben is an assistant district attorney, and Matt and his wife, Ashley, live in Catawba County, where Matt is a radiologist. Dr. Falkenberry says he will miss his colleagues at Family Care and his patients. However, he's eager to spend time with his grandchildren. He and Dixie plan to travel, clear brush, and work in the yard during these years of retirement. In addition to Dr. Falkenberry, the 68th Annual Christmas Parade will be honoring 2 beauty queens who were part of one of the very first parades in history. Joyce Moose Sharp was a queen from Stony Point, and Colleen Curly Hendren was one of the queens from Hidnight. We've invited these ladies to ride at the front of the parade, and they have both consented to join us if possible. We know that a 3rd queen rode with the 2 ladies in the 1949 parade, Betty Jean Watts. However, she is deceased. I'm still searching for a queen from Happy Plains from the class of 1949, but at this point, no one has come forward to claim the title. So if anyone knows of someone who might have held the title, I would appreciate information. As you can see, the parade and activities are in high gear. We are working hard to ensure the balance of our entries and to assist from the public, and with assistance from the public, which is greatly going to be appreciated. If you're affiliated with a club, a church, a business, etc., please encourage those responsible to move quickly to secure your place in the 68th Annual Alexander County Christmas Parade. Thank you.
I would like to offer these comments to both you and to Mr. Rogers. Thank you for volunteering to coordinate the Christmas parade, because if it wasn't for you two gentlemen, it would not be produced as well as it has been for the last few years. So I know it's a highly paid position, and a lot of honors are bestowed upon you for doing it. But sincerely, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing it as volunteers, because you do a magnificent job.
Well, Santa and the elf actually do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And we have another elf that has to get his hands dirty sometimes, and he seems to enjoy it as well. We have a good time doing it, and that's why it's so much fun and so enjoyable.
Would that be the other elf is Mr. French?
I didn't call any names.
Well,
his initials are Rick French.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I don't think any greater honor could be bestowed upon Dr. Falconberry. I don't think I've ever called him doctor in 30 years, though. It's always been Rusty. And, Dr. Falconberry, with all due respect to him, I will try to call him doctor now, but outstanding doctor. He's been my doctor ever since I can remember, and that is, I don't know who the committee was, doesn't really matter to me, but whoever chose Dr. Rusty Falconberry did an outstanding job. He's been an outstanding citizen, an outstanding doctor, and he's contributed quite a bit to this county and to the citizens of this county. And all I have to say is congratulations, Rusty. Good job. I hate to see him go. He's my favorite doctor. Now I have to choose a new one, but outstanding position. Outstanding. So we're really going to miss him and what he has done for Alexander County. It's a good choice, and you guys have done a fantastic job. I like the job you do. I enjoy the parade. It's a lot of fun, and to watch these kids and how they react to everything. And thank you for your contribution that you all make to this county by stepping up to the plate.
Thank you.
I'd just like to mention that for those that haven't got their registration in, come by the Cooperative Extension Office located right beside the Health Department, and we'll get you signed up. And look forward to another fun-filled Christmas parade to kick off the Christmas season.
Absolutely.
Dwayne, I would, if you don't mind me calling you, Dwayne, what is the late registration fee if someone hasn't signed up by?
It goes up $25 after Wednesday.
So what is it now?
It depends on the kind of entry that it is. Entries range from $20 to $400 for a commercial float.
Okay.
And then we sadly tack on $25 because we're trying to get people to move. It's easier to get it organized, get everything ready, the earlier we get the information.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks to you and the other two L's and the one that we don't know, but his initials are Rick French.
Also, from Lenny's office, we have excellent help with Julie Campbell. She does a great job of keeping the paperwork straight and getting it all to where it needs to go. And then as we focus on the day itself, we have a host of about 20, 25 volunteers who are helping us, and we are recruiting an additional 10 to 15 volunteers to help space the parade and be more visible along the parade route this year.
One final comment. The joy for me riding in the parade is the joy that the kids that are there derive from the parade. And that's, I think, why we all participate in the parade.
It's a fun day. We are one of the largest parades in the region. We are actually, from research and from what the folks at Klein say, we're larger than the Charlotte Carousel. And it's nice to be one of the largest parades, and people from all over come to enjoy the parade with us, and we're glad to do it.
That's great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 4 on the agenda tonight is public hearing, conditional use permit 14-2. As all of you know, this is a public hearing, and I'll call the public hearing into session at this time, and that means that people in the audience will have the right to speak and to voice their opinion as to this public hearing and to this conditional use permit, and also the commissioners will also have their right to voice their opinion. When the citizens, anyone that would like to come and speak, I'd appreciate it if you'd come up to the mic, and if you would state your name and what area you're from, so that everyone would know who you are, because a lot of times people, that's just part of the way that we have to do these conditional use permits. And so at this time, Mr. Seth Harris, we'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is conditional use permit 14-2. The applicants are requesting approval for a distillery. The applicant is Charles Trefsker. The owner is Owen Opportunity Fund, LLC. It's located at 1157 Players Ridge Road, which is the Old Steel Golf Clubhouse. The area consists of 1.488 acres, which you may be able to see on your screen there, around the clubhouse and the adjacent parking lot. The project area will include the clubhouse interior. The gross floor area of the entire building is 7,400 square feet. The existing land use is a golf course and restaurant, and the current zoning district is CR, commercial recreational. All zoning districts within 100 feet is R20, which is a residential zoning district, and also all land uses within 100 feet are residential, excluding the golf course, which is included in that commercial recreational district. Owen Opportunity Fund purchased the subject property in 2013. The owners are currently operating the golf course at Oliver's Landing subdivision. As I said before, also in operation on a restaurant and pro shop located in the golf course clubhouse. The owners wish to add a distillery in the lower level of the clubhouse. A distillery must be federally licensed and approved by the North Carolina ABC Commission before production can begin at this site. Owen Opportunity Fund is doing business as Old Steel Golf Course, and as you can tell from the name, they are planning on producing a moonshine type product to tie into their branding of the golf course. The CR, Commercial Recreational District, does allow for a distillery with conditional approval from the county commissioners. The Alexander County zoning ordinance defines a distillery as the following: a legal establishment for the manufacture, blending, fermentation, processing, and packaging of distilled alcohol spirits. Such facility does not provide on-site retail sales and must comply with all ABC Commission laws and permits. Since the property directly abutting the subject property is non-residential in nature, the golf course, the zoning ordinance does not require a visual screening or a landscaping buffer. However, a landscaping buffer is a reasonable condition that could be considered by the board. However, landscaping on the western side of the clubhouse and the south side, which is where the distillery will be, would block views from the 18th hole, which has we've had some opposition from the applicant for doing that, so keep that in mind. If you can see the map in front of you, I'll get to that in a minute. For our usual practice, letters were sent by first-class mail, a sign was posted at the property, and a legal advertisement was placed in the Taylorsville Times to announce a public hearing. As we've talked about before, previous mailings have initiated several phone calls, and a few were directly opposed to the proposed distillery. So staff does recommend approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. The proposed use must comply with all the ABC Commission laws and permits, and also truck traffic associated with the delivery of materials and the transport of finished product shall be limited to the hours between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. We'll look at a few pictures here. This shows the adjacent property owners within 100 feet of where the proposed conditional use will be at.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Go back to that previous slide, if you don't mind. Where would you recommend, if screening was done, where would it be done if you look at this map?
On the northwest corner, kind of the park pointing towards,
Part there on
read
North
that.
Shore Lane.
yes, sir. But again, that would block views of the clubhouse from the 18th hole, which the applicants have been opposed to. So keep that in mind.
Okay, I just,
That would block the use, though, the
yeah.
the
that's what I
use.
meant.
Okay. If you'll go to the next picture, which may show up better on your screen than it does up here, but that's a view looking across the lake and fountain, across the 18th hole towards the clubhouse. Go to the next slide. That is a view of the side of the building where the distillery will be located at. And again, I hope it shows up better on your screen than it does to us, but
It would be in the basement.
yes, sir, it will. And this, when I first was sent the picture, I thought this was a representation of what they'll be putting in the basement, but this is just a display piece that's on the golf course, so just a model of a still, so you can take that for what it's worth. Anybody have any questions?
I've got a few. Can you go back to the, not the GIS, keep going back, the one, that one. Have any of those property owners, other than Oliver's Landing, or have any of those had any negative comments about this?
No, sir.
Okay. So no property owners within 100 feet have had any negative comments about this?
As far as I know, I haven't heard any comments from...
To you, rather?
To me, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. To me.
And your phone number's on the sign for people
It
to
is.
call? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the
Letters.
letters were sent out by first-class mail. Did you get any letters back from any people? What about any people located inside the subdivision itself that are not within 100 feet?
We didn't do those mailings with this mailing
Okay.
because we weren't required to, but from previous mailings, when we did do that, there were a few returned, but not many.
Okay. Well, I guess all the other questions I have would probably be for the property owners. Could you guys stand up, one of your representative?
Let me, Seth, let me ask you one question. Truck traffic associated with delivery of materials and transport of finished products shall be limited to the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. How was those time frames arrived at?
We discussed it with the representative here tonight as a kind of a broad window for deliveries, when his usual deliveries for, say, the restaurant come in. That may be flexible. It's something, feel free to discuss with him, but those were kind of, we arrived at that with the applicant, so.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that, but I just want to know how it was arrived at.
And those, just to note, those are within the parameters of the noise ordinance also.
Okay, that answered my question.
Okay.
Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Okay, so the distillery would be located in the basement. How are you going to add a drive down to the basement, or is it just going to be, I know we're talking about a small-scale operation right now.
Yeah,
so
this would be a
I think
small-
people are overestimating kind of what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have kind of gotten blown a little out of proportion. We have a cart path that actually runs from the back side of the building right to the back door. We will add a double back door just to be able to get a hand truck forklift in and out of there a little bit easier. But essentially, we're looking at a small boutique distillery, no bigger than the room we're sitting in.
Right, okay.
So the cart path,
Excuse me.
Sorry.
One moment, please. If you would, sir, if you would, state your name.
My name is John Halter. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Old Still Golf Club.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Go ahead, gentlemen and ladies. I apologize.
that's fine. The cart path that presently exists would handle the delivery of the product and the supplies that you need down to the lower level?
That is correct.
And a cart would be utilized to do that? or a forklift?
Well, we're not going to be a mass distributor, so simply just a truck could pull in and out of there, but it's not like we're going to have 18-wheelers coming in and obviously loading product. If we ever got to that capacity, we would look to go to a different site.
Okay.
And that's a question I had also, Seth, if you could stand back up. Does, say, business were to take off and, you know, you guys have more orders than you can fill, would expansion be allowed under this without approval from the county commission?
Physical expansion of the building?
Yes.
No. They could expand to occupy the entire building, though.
Okay. All right. Speaking of buffers, can you go back, I believe, one more slide? And so you guys would be opposed to any sort of buffer on the, I guess, the northwestern side there?
No, we wouldn't directly be opposed to anything. Obviously, the northwest side there would be to the right side of our 18th green, which obviously is kind of a showcase where people are coming in on the 18th hole. So we've already done some tree work to enable a little bit more vision from there. But the northwest side, and what you guys are talking about, we are not opposed to building trees. We have probably almost I'd say that's almost a half acre to an acre of space that we could do essentially anything with. It's just wide open, just a cart path that goes through there. But we are not directly opposed to building a buffer.
Are you talking about parallel along Wexford on the backside of those properties?
I think the only person who's had a problem with it lives directly on the other side of that road, where we have offered to, you know, potentially put some trees up to block the view for that individual.
So technically, you could put the buffer between the residence and the fairway, could you not, instead of between the fairway and the clubhouse?
Not the fairway, the actual, where the area that you're speaking of is at the end of the 18th green, which runs almost
that's what I meant.
Almost to the end of the building there.
Right.
Everything northwest of that is just it's wide open space.
Yeah,
There's
because
nothing
basically
there.
what I'm saying is you could put it on the other side of the green so that whenever you're coming up to 18th green, you can still look and see it, but you still have the buffer to protect the folks from seeing. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I agree it's not the fairway, but
Yeah.
the fairway comes into the green. So
Yeah, it's the rough.
Anybody else have any questions?
Just Monday through Sunday deliveries, if we were to consider passing this, I would have a problem with having deliveries made on Sunday. Is there a reason that you need deliveries on Sunday, 7 days a week?
We can work with you.
Okay.
John, I realize that this is going to be a small-scale distillery, and to help put all this to sort of rest, because
Yes, sir.
there's quite a bit of confusion about this. Exactly what level of production are we talking about as far as let's say a weekly production, and it could be in whatever unit of measure you want to put it in, but certainly it really help everybody focus on what you're talking about.
We potentially were going to work with a group that has a 500-gallon distillery, which only produces 3,000 cases a year. So, I mean, I think what you're really, when you break that down over 12 months, it's hardly a closet full of liquor a month. It's not a, huge income revenue maker. It'll definitely be something that'll create a niche, small boutique market for us.
Cases of pints or quarts, what's?
Quarts, generally what they are sold to the ABC board. I think most moonshine makers, white liquor, they all sell them in quart jars. I mean, you can have different levels of bottles, obviously, according to the ABC.
But you were talking about quarts, basically.
Most likely we'll sell quarts, yes, sir.
So essentially, your entire week production could fit in the back of a station wagon.
Probably, yes. I'd be happy to fill it, yeah.
We're not talking about multiple 18-wheelers.
We're not talking about FedEx 18-wheelers having to come in on a daily basis. I mean, we obviously can't dig a little farther than we can go, so it would be a small batch distillery. If we got larger than what could be built out of a 500-gallon still, then we obviously have other spaces and things that we would apply for other conditional permits.
So even 75 years ago, someone locally doing the same operation, I bet illegally, would say that you'd be a small-scale operation.
I could probably put it in the back of my truck for the week, what we would produce. But just
There are
depends
some
on
stories that could go along with this.
No,
I don't think that we want to go there.
supply and demand. Hopefully it turns into a better demand one day.
And certainly if that happened, you'd probably actually physically relocate the business to a more appropriate, large-scale commercial manufacturing, where you get the water and you get all the loading docks and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
So we could classify this as an incubator for
You could say
potentially a
that.
larger business.
Sure.
Very good.
And I see in the application, it says, does not provide on-site retail sales. So, people can't actually go there to buy your product, correct?
Well, we do have a liquor license, but we couldn't sell the bottle.
Right.
Literally, it's
You have to go to an ABC store to actually buy that if you wanted to buy it and take it home with you.
Yes.
But Oliver's Landing has, well, I'm sorry, I keep calling it Oliver's Landing.
Old Still.
Old Still. That's been a private club, and they've had ABC permits for, how long, 20 years? I mean, I don't know.
I think 13, 16 years.
16 years, okay. And you actually have to apply for ABC commission permits to be able to do this, correct? So
That is correct.
you're not through jumping hurdles yet, so.
We want to see if you guys will even let us do it before we waste a lot of time and money and effort into that. Yes.
It's not only ABC permits from the state, but it's also federally licensed
That is
to
correct.
manufacture moonshine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right, as this is a public hearing, those in the audience who would like to say something pro or con have the opportunity to step forward at this time. If you have something you'd like to say, please come up to the mic, state your name and address, and whatever comment you'd like to make. This is your opportunity.
Well, while I'm here, can I?
Yes, you may. While you're there, you may. If you want to just come on around in just a minute after you get finished, you can state your name and say what you have to say. Go ahead, sir.
All right, well, first and foremost, my name is John Halter, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Old Still Golf Club. It's a great job you guys have with the Veterans Day ceremony. Since we're public, I'd like to invite all veterans out on November 11th to come play for free. We spoke with our owner about that today, so any veteran who wants to take the opportunity to come out and play, come have a day on us. Also, on December 7th, we will put on a golf tournament to raise money for homeless veterans. We're due up for a pretty terrible winter this year, so another way that we can give back. One of the things that I don't want people to be confused about with this distillery is that we are going to try to be a mass producer to keep up with Jim Beam and Jack Daniels and things like that. This is a small boutique business. This is something that is trying to help the economic growth of this county as well as our golf course. We are here for local jobs, and distilling is a significant job creator with one of the highest spin-off factors in the state. It ranks actually fourth out of 244 manufacturing industries in total employment and job multiplier. Distilleries and their employees have contributed millions of dollars to charities and volunteered thousands of hours of time to improve the quality of life in their communities and in efforts to fight underage drinking, drunk driving, alcoholism, and we will continue to do that as well if given the opportunity. We plan on supporting local farmers. We hopefully can use all local grains, everything that we can get locally here, whether it be from South Carolina or North Carolina, but from the Carolinas, we plan on using everything that we can to increase farming. We hope that it'll bring a little more tourism to Alexander County. We have wonderful hiking and other things to do here, but they're starting a moonshine trail now, and heck, we'd like to be the first one on the moonshine trail to kind of throw that in there as well. So other than that, I'd really just like to say that Tim Kent, who's the executive director of a Raleigh-based North Carolina Beer and Wine Wholesalers Association, says that North Carolina has always struck a balance between being a responsible seller of alcohol products while at the same time providing an opportunity for entrepreneurship. We at Old Still are asking for that opportunity as well. So thank you guys for your time today.
I'd like to just offer one comment to your one suggestion. If you haven't talked to Ginger Annis, who is the Veteran Service Officer in the county, she's listed in the telephone directory under Alexander County Veteran Service Officer, and it's ANNAS. I would call her and inform her of what you're volunteering to have veterans to play free on Veterans Day.
I hope we pack it out.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello, my name is Martha Starnes. My address is 180 Catawba Shores Lane, Hickory, North Carolina. And I live directly across from the clubhouse where they're planning to put the distillery in. And when I wake up every morning, when I look out my window, the first thing I see is the basement door at the golf course. It has just, I have just been astonished by being able to manufacture liquor in Alexander County when we just had ABC referendum some time ago. We voted to build a dry county. Also, I don't quite understand where the revenue is coming in for Alexander County with this distillery. I understand there will be sampling of the liquor that is being produced here. I don't know to what extent, but I understand that drinks will be given away free. Now what I'm saying right now is what I hear. I don't know. It's just has been told to me by different people. And it just amazes me why Alexander County thinks that they have to have a distillery here. We've gotten along quite well without the manufacture of liquor, and I have owned property there since 1988. The golf course has gone bankrupt 3 times, and all that time they have been able to sell beer and wine and liquor. It hasn't kept them open. My husband for 3 years made the 10th tee and the 13th tee because the grass and weeds were this tall. And what is to say that they're not going to be going bankrupt again? And my understanding is the clubhouse could be turned into a 7,000 square foot distillery. I did not prepare any kind of a speech today. I just come to what was going on. I didn't realize it was a public forum. But I am just overwhelmed at the idea that this might take place here in Alexander County. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? There being no one else, I'd entertain a motion at this time to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I second.
Motion's been made to close the public hearing, and second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. The public hearing is now closed. Ladies and gentlemen, I entertain a motion at this time concerning the public hearing and for the conditional use permit.
I make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit.
Second?
Excuse me? What are the conditions that you didn't make your motion on, sir?
The conditions is, the conditions that conditional use permit 14-2, requesting approval for a distillery. And the staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit with the following conditions. The proposed use must comply with all ABC Commission laws and permits. Truck traffic associated with delivery of materials and transport of finished products should be limited to the hours between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. But I would like to add this condition: there would be no Sunday deliveries.
And I'd like to add,
Well, you can't make an addition to the motion. The gentleman's made the motion.
Okay,
So therefore, if you wanted to do anything else, you'd have to make an addition to the motion, amendment to the motion.
I'll second Mr. Jennings' motion so we can go into discussion.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I would like to add that, so that Mrs. Starnes does not have to worry about, seeing deliveries and things. I'd like to add some landscaping buffer to that northwestern side.
And you'd like to make a motion for an amendment to the motion?
I would like to make a motion to amend Mr. Jennings' motion.
And in making that motion, I guess I need to ask, where are you saying you'd like to see the buffer?
That northwestern side, that is the vacant half-acre, just something there to block the views.
May I ask
Yes.
something? May I ask something, or?
Public hearing's closed.
Can I ask maybe I can ask his question, anticipate his question? So are you saying adjacent to where the clubhouse is at, or directly
Can you bring
behind?
the slide back up, please? Can you leave that up? On the northwestern side of the building.
Can you go one more?
Right there.
Northwestern side of the building.
He's talking there, because he says specifically building. This is about language.
So you see
It is about language.
So
the same
if-
traffic coming to the east?
This is what we were looking
Yeah,
at
that's-
here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So you're saying that you want the buffer between the green and the clubhouse?
Yes.
Or you want it on the west side of the green? Or north side of the green?
On the north side of the green.
Okay.
all right, that makes more sense.
Because that way you could do the buffer above that and you,
Well, actually, I was looking here on North Shore and Players Ridge, right along there. That would be a good spot to put it.
the biggest thing they're looking at is the buffer right there along, between the green and the property lines there. So you can have it in there so that there'll not be any visibility there. And the only thing they'd end up doing would be the rough that would be added to the golf course there in order for we go up so the residents won't be able to see it. Of course, they wouldn't be able to see the golf course either.
Yeah. Well, that'd just be a small screen.
We're in the middle of a motion. Is this appropriate for discussion?
Now we're in the middle of an amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
I need a second to the amendment.
Yeah, we need to get a second.
I second it.
The amendment second. Apologize, sir. Out of order. I apologize for that.
That's not a problem. I think this is, we're trying to be very specific on
We're
this
trying to be
language.
pretty specific. I think what needs to happen here is I think that we need to ask Seth, Seth, if you don't mind, step back up there. Let's make sure we get this right the first time so we don't have to come back 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yes, sir. What we're trying to accomplish here is to block the view for the person to the northwest. So to do that, landscaping could be placed on the 10th green.
The left side of the 10th.
This side of the 10th green between the green and the residence. That's what I'm talking about. It'd be right there just above the,
It's almost 200 yards. What I'm saying is the left side of the 10th tee box, she lives on the left side of the 10th tee box. We could build something to the left side of that tee box, which would completely block her view of everything.
And don't get me wrong, and Martha, we're trying to look out for your interests, of course, but I'm going to look out for even potentially future homeowners.
Sure.
So if we're looking for a buffer, we need to make a very distinct and very generalized buffer in this ordinance that we're going to approve, and not make it specifically for one little section, because otherwise we might have to come back here at some other point and do it.
I would like, not to complicate things, but I would like to add that anything beyond the property we're talking about is not really part of the conditional use. So,
Well, sure, but
not to negotiate this between property owners, but that may be where you want to leave it is.
well, is there a distinction between the property owner that owns this property that we're talking about for the conditional use and the adjacent property, which is the golf course? Technically, is there a difference?
It's the same.
It's the same.
it's the same, but at the same time, the conditional use permit is only entertaining that property that is outlined in yellow. So therefore, you cannot go outside the buffer of that yellow property and say put a put a buffer anywhere else. It would have to be in this line where the yellow is. Now, what we can do is, I mean, you know, this would cause us to be able to come back at another meeting and make this, but we could let them go out there and, before we pass this, to let the Seth and these guys get together, and I'm not saying it's going to pass, but let Seth and these guys get together along with the property owner to come up with something that would have that buffer there to make everybody happy. Because I think this is more or less a tourist attraction, is basically what this is going to amount to more than anything else.
And if I could recommend that as a suggestion in your motion as opposed to a condition, just suggest that.
Suggestion and not a condition.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, we could table this until you guys could reach some type of conditional use on this thing. Is that correct? Would that be?
We could do that. But again, it's outside the scope of the
But
application.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to make this thing pleasant.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
How about we just, I withdraw my amendment, and these guys agree on a handshake that they're going to do this, and if they don't, then you don't think that's a good idea?
I have an aversion to the handshake.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think this could be simplified. First of all, if someone has a problem with the way you're doing business, they of course have recourse in the court. Right, so that's always an option. So I think we're overcomplicating this. And if we would just approve this case as written, as Seth has written it under the code of law, I think everyone in general it'd be a lot simpler. Yes. And if we have some issues, I think these are issues that need to be met by you being a good neighbor, you being a good business owner, and rather than having this adversarial relationship within the neighborhood, I think there needs to be some at least some understanding.
We are driven to make the community happy, so.
And that's along the lines of what I was trying to say, Mr. Ferguson.
Call for the question.
There's still a motion that I made on the table.
That's understandable, sir, but at the same time, you got an amendment to the motion that has to be addressed also. So then therefore, that we can call for the question. So therefore, what we will do is we'll call for the question on the amendment. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand.
What are you talking about?
The amendment to the motion. All those in favor of the amendment to the motion indicate by raising your right hand.
Don't vote for the amendment.
Okay, here's what's going on. What the amendment was to require a buffer to be placed on the property, okay? Which, in legal terms, you can't do that because you're going outside the scope of what the spot zoning was originated for on that part of the land. You can't go to another piece of property and say you're going to put a buffer there. You have to put it within the scope of that area that is being zoned under special use permit, okay? And Seth, if I'm wrong, you can just interrupt me anytime.
Doing good.
Okay, so therefore,
I need to withdraw my amendment. Can I just withdraw my amendment? Okay, I've already done that.
Is it permitted for him?
you're permitted to withdraw your motion if we have a second.
Second.
All right, motion's made and second. Now, all in favor of withdrawing the motion indicate by raising your right hand. All those against? Okay, the motion carries. The amendment's gone. Okay? Therefore, we have a motion on the table. I will call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed, likewise. The motion carries. Passed. Thank you. And if I didn't do that right, I apologize for not knowing the total rules of etiquette till the Robert's Rules of Meeting.
I think you pulled that one out pretty good.
I did the best I could. Anyway, item number, Seth, we will expect you and the homeowners and everybody to get together under the relationship between homeowners and businesses to make this thing work in a very responsible manner so that everybody is some way, somehow happy in what's going on here, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Item number 5. Public hearing, economic development incentive grant. Mr. David Eisenhower, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is a public hearing for an economic development incentive grant. This application is by Snyder Mills for an economic development incentive grant, and it's based on new equipment being installed by Snyder Mills. This will be the first application that you have considered for job retention grant only, which was a new category in the economic incentive policy that you guys approved several months ago. With the job retention grant, the requirement for new job creation is removed, and any existing company that invests at least $1 million in equipment and machinery is eligible for this economic development incentive grant, which is a 50% reimbursement of property taxes over a 4-year period. Schneider Mills is investing $2.4 million in equipment upgrades. Their taxes on this equipment in full would be $16,328. So, as you know, with the incentive grants, companies must pay in full their property taxes before they can get a reimbursement in the form of the grant. So Schneider Mills will pay their taxes on this property of $16,000 plus. And if we subtract the 5% Economic Development Corporation fee for administration, the amount of the grant in the first year would be $7,756 to Schneider Mills. And again, this is a 4-year grant at 50% return each year. This grant has received preliminary approval by the Economic Development Board of Directors, and this public hearing has been duly advertised. Mr. Chairman, with that concludes my comments on the public hearing. I will be glad to try to answer any questions that you or the public may have.
The public hearing is in session. But, David, I guess, how many jobs is this going to create, or is this just improvement to the jobs to improve the quality of the product they manufacture?
Again, this falls under the job retention grant only, which was created to help existing companies that invest in machinery and or equipment in order to help them remain competitive in Alexander County. So Schneider Mills has approximately 290 employees right now, so the purpose of this is to help them keep those employees here in Alexander County.
Very good, sir. Does anyone have any questions?
This means, and let me see if I can understand this, we are going to get more tax money.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If they don't do this, bring in this $2 million worth of equipment, we won't get anything, right?
Correct.
So is this not a no-brainer? I mean, why would we not want to do this?
I have no reasons that you would not want to do it.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding it correctly, that we will receive approximately, you said 16,000.
Yes.
And they would have to pay us 7,000, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, over the 4-year period of this grant, if you approve it, the county will get $30,000 in tax payments that you'll keep. The company will get approximately $28,000 returned to them.
Over 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Well, of all the businesses in Alexander County, we certainly want to make accommodations for the ones that stuck with us, and Craftmaster being one, and certainly Snyder Mills being another, Mitchell Gold, and all the others. So this looks good. Do we need to have a motion to close the public hearing?
Does anyone in the audience has anything they'd like to say as this is a public hearing? Any other commissioner have anything they'd like to say in reference to the public hearing? If not, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded to close the public hearing. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion as to the Economic Development Incentive Grant.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Economic Development Incentive Grant that's related to the application of Snyder Mills. And this is the job retention, new job retention grant that they are eligible for.
I second that motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion there? There being no discussion, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Tell Snyder Mills where to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate Snyder Mills. Item number 6, public hearing. 5310, enhancement of seniors and persons with disabilities. I'd call upon Cindy Holman, DSS Director.
Good evening. The Department of Social Services would like to make application for a 5310 rural transportation grant. It would serve persons in our county that are 65 years of age or older. It would also serve citizens who are under age 65 and are disabled. The grant funding would be effective July the 1st of 2015. It would provide transportation to essential shopping, access medical care and pharmacy, attend adult daycare, participate in volunteer activities, education, employment, access to domestic violence services, and attend senior center activities such as health screenings, nutritional classes, fraud and scam prevention lectures, medical seminars, any kind of things that we need for our citizens in this community to be healthy and active and be able to have transportation to those things. You have a grant summary in your packet. If you look on the second page, you'll see that we're asking for $155,674 in federal funding, 10% state match, and then 10% local match, which would be met by HCCBG funding, which is Home and Community Care Block Grant funding. There is a chance that the state funding would not be available, and should that happen, it would be a 20% match on our part, but we have looked at that and are able to meet that through HCCBG funding. So there is not a county match required for this grant. If you look at that page, the numbers, we've engaged our Western Piedmont Council on Governments folks, census data for the county, obviously our local coordinated plan for transportation, our senior center, our congregate meal participants, and as you see, almost one-third of the population of this county is either aged 65 or older or disabled. So it is a very large portion of our community that we would be able to transport under this grant. I know many of you participated in the Golden Leaf process, and we identified transportation as a major barrier for enhanced economic development and infrastructure, as well as education and workforce development. If it's a barrier there, it's certainly a barrier for these vulnerable populations. So we are looking for support in applying for this grant. I hope it's a no-brainer too, Judy.
Minnie, I want to go back just a little bit, if you don't mind. I think this is one of the things that involved when we were discussing Meals on Wheels plans, because so many of our folks could not get to Meals on Wheels, and this is part of it. But this grant will be able to take care of those folks being able to get to Meals on Wheels.
That is a separate, Meals on Wheels is a voluntary, that's where we take.
I understand, but they also have the meals where the people can go there and eat also.
Congregate meals, that's right.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
I've had a rough 30 minutes. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is this will be sure that these folks have transportation to get there, which I think is vitally important to the citizens of our county, especially those who are not able. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Cindy,
Go ahead.
let me just ask this question. I happen to be 65 years and older. And I look at the background of the project and look at the description of who qualifies. It's for people that are seniors, that are 65 years of age and older, or under 65 years of age and disabled to congregate meal sites. But those congregate meals are based on income, are they not?
There has to be, they're needs-based. There is an assessment done to make sure the person is eligible to participate in the congregate meal program. Yes, there is.
Is that income-based?
It is.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
It is. We have had a waiting list, though. There have been times when we have not been able to get our folks there.
Okay.
Cindy, I've got a couple questions. So no property tax money would be used at all to fund this HCCBG grant?
You are correct.
Okay, all right. And it runs for 1 year, 12 months. Is there are you going to reapply for a grant 12 months from now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If we're awarded, we would just continue to apply year after year.
So you have to apply yearly?
Yes.
Okay. And I was looking, it said effort in hours, 4 hours per month, down here at the bottom of page 2. What does that refer to?
Project estimates, we're talking about, I'm assuming that is the amount of time it would take to manage the project.
Okay.
Correct. The queen of transportation has helped me to develop, this is a first effort to write a federal grant, and it's very interesting.
Oh, yes.
But I've had a lot of help and a great collaboration on this project.
So you're not expecting 4 hours of driving time per month? That's not?
Oh, we expect a whole lot more. Obviously, we'll have a contract, and there will be a whole lot more than 4 hours of driving time. This is to manage the project.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that and make sure.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Cindy, I just have one because we've had this discussion. This is certainly something that interests me a lot. This is one of the shortcomings we've identified before. But for the purpose of the people that are listening and watching and might read this in paper, can you make a very clear distinction between this program and the regular Greenway as far as the transportation model that we already have within the county?
I can. I might ask Camille to come up, and if she'd like to say something about the difference in this program as opposed to regular public transportation. This certainly would be for the targeted population to get to these specific things, but you might want to talk about the public routes and what's available other than this grant.
In Alexander County, there's a couple of different options. One is to provide service as a demand response where people give a call and want to go to a specific location at a specific time. There's also the Taylorsville bus service located in Taylorsville along Highway 16 as well as Highway 90, and that's offered on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The demand response service is offered Monday through Friday. And this grant brings additional funds to the area. There is the opportunity to provide more service to the targeted population, which we transport many elderly and disabled persons already, but this is in addition to what is already being served, because we are finding that the population does require quite a few trips to shopping or congregate meal site, and it may not be just one location that they want to go to. They may also want to go to the senior center and become involved in the community. So this grant itself will provide an opportunity for the target population to be able to remain independent in their homes and also social activities within the community.
Very good. And this will also allow a transportation out of the county as well in case of a medical visit to Winston or some specialist outside the county. So we'll have that option as well. And one more, and I don't want to beat this up, but will this also be worked into possibly with the Russell Green's office as far as an emergency plan to have this asset part of our resources within the county in case that we need to move people around in the event of disaster?
Yes, sir. We are already part of the management program within Alexander, Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba counties. We've been very fortunate to have Patty Foster on board. She was with Alexander County Transportation prior to the merger in 2008, and she has worked closely with Russell Green as well as the other management systems. I hope he's back there shaking his head yes. Okay, wonderful.
Just so that some of you will know, this is Camille Sterling. She is a director of the Western Piedmont Regional Transportation Authority. That's Greenway, and she is the director, so she knows what she's talking about, and she's here with good information, and we do appreciate you being here tonight, and this is a good way for people to know who you are also.
Oh, absolutely. My name is Camille Sterling. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for introducing me. I appreciate it. And please, if anybody ever has any questions about transportation in Alexander County or the Ford County, the Unifor area, please don't hesitate to give our office a call. We're located on the web and in the phone book. Thank you.
Cindy, both of you can answer this question or have input to this question. The Disabled American Veterans chapter here in Alexander County provides transportation for disabled veterans to the Veterans Hospital and so forth and so on. Do they communicate with you folks or cooperate with you folks?
The DAV then provides a specialized service on specific days, and in addition to them, we provide transportation in Alexander County, mostly to the Salisbury VA hospital. We go once a week to that particular area, which is Salisbury as well as Charlotte. We provide the transportation to and from for $2.50 each way, which would be our in-county fare to go to and from a location. And what we do is provide that service to veterans as well as others going to medical appointments. For people who need to go to Hickory to go to the VA clinic, we also do provide that Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we do provide service to the Asheville VA on Thursdays. So there are quite a few opportunities to go to the VA hospitals and clinics.
I guess my question specifically is this: do you coordinate with the DAV chapter here on these transportation opportunities?
We've spoken to them at times, but there is no coordination of efforts in Alexander County. There was in Burke County where we went on different days, and we have just found that the DAV van does take a lot of ambulatory people, and we end up taking people that are more specialized with wheelchairs, canes, or walkers who need a specific type of vehicle to transport them to their appointments.
I would suggest that there be some coordination of the effort. And again, Chris Knowlton, who was here, just reach out to him and make sure that if there's an opportunity so there's not duplication of effort is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I'll give him a call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? If not, I entertain them. Anybody in the audience have anything they want to say? Because this is a public hearing. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the public hearing.
Motion's made, motion's second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Gentlemen and ladies, I'd entertain a motion to this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to propose that we approve the 5310 program grant enhancement of seniors and persons with disabilities.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you.
We did appropriately publicize. The resolution needs to be adopted.
Right, understand. I understand. And
Yes.
yeah, we need a motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution.
Right.
And if I may, I also took the liberty of preparing not only just a vote, but a support letter that I have given to your clerk. If you would be so kind as and interested in signing that letter, all of you, we would really appreciate that. It will help our grant application.
It will help your grant application to sign the letter?
Really?
We think so.
Really?
Yes. Wow.
Okay, all right. So be it. The motion's been made to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. And we will also sign the letter. Since we passed the resolution, we'll sign the letter of support because that's the same thing. So we'll do that also. Okay? All right, we'll take care of that.
We thought overkill was better.
Overkill sometimes good, sometimes overkill might be bad, but we'll find out, you know. All right? Thank you very much. Now, item number 7, increased child welfare update. Cindy Holman, DSS Director.
Good evening again. You have in your packet a letter that was issued September the 26th.
Go ahead.
And I'm assuming that you've had an opportunity to look at it. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that we have received some additional child welfare funding. It will be pulled down through our staff's work. We have a variety of alphabet soup for their coding pleasure, but we do have some new funding that will be pulled down $32,424, as you see the funding authorization under child welfare in-home expansion. And if you remember a couple of years ago, our budget jumped up significantly. One reason was because our foster care population doubled. The other reason was that we lost a tremendous amount of 4E federal funding in the area of in-home services and child welfare. So this is an effort to replace some of that funding, $32,424. And the second authorization is for CPS state dollars, and it's also replacement money, $12,557. So that's a $44,000 plus dollars that will be coming to the county. And because it is labeled, as you see in the letter, as replacement funds, we did not request any use of that funding. Hold on to your hats till the end of the meeting, but I wanted you to know that we were going to draw down that funding for the county. Any questions about that?
I'm good.
So this is all federal funds?
It is federal money.
All right. Thank you, Cindy. We appreciate it. Item number 8 tonight is on approval of piggyback purchase of a 2014 ambulance. Doug Gillespie, interim EMS director.
Good evening. I come to you tonight to request the approval for a purchase of a new ambulance. I come to you a few months ago and got approval for us to piggyback off Wake County. I'm here tonight to ask you to approve the purchase amount of $129,998 for one AEV ambulance through Northwestern Emergency Vehicles. In the packet, you have the actual proposed price. The price on the truck was $144,946. We took the power stretcher off, and that would leave it at $129,998.
Do you need that Striker Pro Cot?
We would like to have that Striker Pro Cot, I will tell you that.
What is that?
The Striker Pro Cot is what we call in EMS a back saver. It is actually a motorized stretcher that only one person has to lift, and it pushes a button. When you get some of the heavier patients, you can team lift. Instead of having one have to lift the wheels, you can push the button, and both of you be holding onto the stretcher, so you're supporting with both personnel, and you can actually push the stretcher back up, push a button, and it raises up. We bought one used one approximately about a year ago, and it saved a lot of effort and a lot of time.
This could prevent
This definitely could prevent with back injuries.
Yeah.
There's two types of power stretchers out there right now. One is the Pro Stretcher for, I think it's approximately what he's got, it's $14,000, and there's a new one that come out the other day, it's called Furno INX, and it's around $30,000, but it pretty much takes, I'd say approximately 80% of the lifting completely away from us.
This one does?
This one does not, no. The one that's $30,000, and I'll take 6 of those if you want to get them for us. The one for $30,000 actually takes about 80%. This probably takes around, I'd say 30 to 40% of most of the lifting. But I know in the budget it was approved for $130,000 that Bradley got. It's not in the budget for the power stretcher. That's why we got the purchase of the ambulance in here for the $129. But I would definitely be a good go for a power stretcher.
Well, somebody that's had back problems, I know what it's like.
3 years ago, I found out at work you can break your back very easily, and I was out for 8 months. And I've had 2 personnel with back injuries right now.
Well, if you saw my daughter a while ago, she's a chiropractor, so I am supportive of her, but also anything that prevents people from getting back injuries.
Yes, sir, I agree with that.
Andrew?
Yeah, Mr. Gillespie, probably what we'll have to do, because the problem is this will be the last time that this sitting board will be here. Unfortunately, the way this is structured, we would really like to see you have that powered stretcher for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is because of the population that you'll probably be serving, the fact that we'll probably save $15,000 in a potential accident. But the way this is written, we'll only be able to, if we do approve it, we'll only be able to approve for the ambulance without that. And then,
Take a budget amendment to do the other, so it had to come back before the board, and that wouldn't happen until after December the 3rd. December 3rd, is that right?
December 1st.
December 1st, okay. So we have to do that. We can't just pass and say do that without doing a budget amendment, and then that all have to be approved. So,
But you can come back and request the additional
yes,
funds.
you can come back.
So just request the whole thing back?
No. We're going to do a motion here to buy the ambulance.
yeah, we
already approved the piggyback. We just have to approve the purchase of it now. Is there a motion to approve?
Well, wait a second. Are you going to get a better deal on this Procot?
If we do the piggyback, it's approximately, without me having to really do the research, it's about the same amount, about $15,000 for the power stretcher.
Okay, so it's not a savings to do it now, so you can come back and request that later?
No,
Okay,
it didn't. Takes a budget amendment.
all right.
I make a motion that we approve the
piggyback.
original purchase price, and I'm trying to find, it's $129,998.
Yes, sir.
So I'm making a motion, we approve that.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by...
I was going to ask that. How long do you think this, based on your, this is the one that you guys wanted with the modular back. How many years of service life do you think you'll get out of it?
Right now, I've just got some quick estimates. The truck that y'all purchased, or we purchased last year, we're getting about 50,000 miles a year out of each truck. I've got two backup trucks, or two mainline trucks that we're using right now with over 100 and some thousand miles on them to start off with. So my goal is to be 3 to 4 years at the most, and that with buying a new truck every year is what basically has to happen. I've got two trucks with over 200,000 miles, and those are first and second line backup trucks.
Very good.
After the motion's made and seconded, is there any other discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. And get that estimate and everything together and get all that to Rick about the cot, please, so that he'll have that so that we can look at that.
You'll have it tomorrow afternoon.
That'll be good. Make sure he gets it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, by the way.
Number 9, the Home Health Program Crisis, Leanne Winston, Health Department Director.
Thank you. I will try to be brief because I know you had a full agenda tonight. Just wanted to bring to your attention some information for tonight. Our home health program has really seen a huge decline in referrals. You'll see that on the next slide when it shows you revenues and expenditures. I know that's very busy, but if you'll go and if you'll look at the bottom, we've really declined since 2008. Last year was the first year we have not been profitable. And I'll explain a lot of that when we get to the end at what's happening. The next one shows you our patient visits have done the same thing. And then the next slide is very busy. Just going to touch on it. It breaks this down. We offer skilled nursing, speech therapy, physical therapy, medical social work, and certified nursing assistant services. And on the next one, I think it'll be a little easier to see. You see in almost all programs, the only one that has sustained fairly well is our speech therapy. We still have a good caseload of children served under our speech therapist, and we're actually exploring ways of even keeping that within the health department itself if we decide, depending on what we decide to do with home health. You see on the next slide, all the providers of home care services in Alexander County. It is a huge list. Over the years, there's been a lot of changes. There's a lot of regulations with home health. They have cut revenue streams. Insurance companies have cut back. Medicare has cut back. So all programs have taken a pretty substantial cut in revenues. And as you see, when we started home health, way before my time, 26 years ago, there wasn't a provider in Alexander County. Since then, as you can see, there's 12. I kind of go back to the mission of public health is to ensure that there's services available and our citizens are taken care of. So I brought this before the Board of Health this month, and they are evaluating. Their recommendations I bring to you tonight is for us to bring it to the public's attention, bring it to your attention, and really work on our outreach and recruiting and let the public decide, let the people speak. If we don't see an increase, then that may be the answer we're looking for. One of the big issues is there are so many mergers happening. For instance, Catawba Valley Medical Center has entered into a memorandum of understanding with Gentiva, and so has Wake Forest Healthcare. So a lot of those physicians are referring directly to that one provider. It's really hard to compete with that. You're in the hospital, you're sick, you don't feel well. Your physician, your healthcare provider says, refer to Gentiva Home Health. That's probably who's going to show up at your door, and you're going to let them provide your home health services. Our new campaign is Demand Alexander County. Keep it local, on that, keeping our resources here. But it's hard. We're hearing from our patients that have really demanded, stood up. Sometimes they have to get really verbal. And that's hard. That's hard for a lot of people to just jump up. You don't want to go against your healthcare provider. This physician, this surgeon has done a great job doing whatever, hip, knee replacement, and they want this home health agency. You're probably going to go with that. So the competition has gotten really difficult. Our outcomes are better than most of our competitors. You're not really concerned about that when you're in the hospital. You just want to get home and feel better. So, but, Alexander County Home Health does a fabulous job. We're local and we want to stay here, but, the question is, can we continue to compete? We don't want to cost the taxpayers. When there's 12 other providers out there, do we take from taxpayers' dollars?
Do we have any way of regulating their work in the county? Do they have to be licensed or?
The state does that.
So I know the state, but we have no way of, okay then.
No control. We do have a CON, and so do they. There's been huge buyouts. There's only about 6 public home health agencies owned by counties still around. Watauga sold 5-6 years ago. Caldwell County sold last year. Toe River District is in the process of selling now. We're just seeing a mass exodus. If you'd asked me a year ago if I'd have been standing here telling you this, no, I did not. A strong agency, great outcomes, our patients get superb care and do well. But it's how do you compete? They have a good example, if you're a Baptist hospital, you can call one phone number and they can take care of your patients nationwide. You don't have to hunt Alexander's phone number. You don't have to hunt Catawba. Is that what we want? No, and we've campaigned. I've been here usually every time I stand in front of you, we talk about home health to remind people to ask. But it's just really challenging. We are campaigning rigorously, so you will hopefully see those signs in the paper, hear us on the radio, yard signs. We are going to give it our best shot between now. The Board of Health wants us to bring back our information and how many referrals we've gotten at the January meeting. So this is really, I just want to bring this to your attention and the public. We don't have to make a decision tonight. But unfortunately, I think probably by your February meeting, hopefully the Board of Health will make a recommendation in January, and I can bring that back. Of course, new members, but we'll bring that back to the Board of County Commissioners by February.
One of the things, we had a meeting last Monday night, the Board of Health did, and this was the entire meeting just about was taken completely up on this subject other than the Ebola outbreak. But today, just so that you'll know, my wife opened a piece of mail. It's last night, matter of fact. I had brought the mail home, and she opened it up, and it said, "Demand," and she looked up and said, "What? What's this all about?" which was good, and I think that's one of the things we need to get out. But the thing that the citizens of this county need to understand is in order to continue Alexander Home Health Care, you have got to demand from your caregiver that you use Alexander County Home Health Care. If not, and we continue to use these folks outside the county in these groups, then what's going to happen is Alexander County Home Health Care will be sold, because there's no way for Alexander County to continue to use and to provide this service, and we're going to lose money. Now, Lincoln County lost $100,000, wasn't that right, Leanne? $400,000. I was trying to give them a break. $400,000 last year, was it not?
Yes.
But their commissioners agreed to put pick up the tab on that. So local home health agencies are struggling. They're having a very difficult time in competing with these monopolies. And so it's something that if you're in the hospital, if you're under doctor's care, and you need to have these treatments at home, ask for Alexander County Home Health Care. They're very good. I can attest to that. They took care of me when I had the great misfortune of meeting them with a broken leg. But that's what needs to happen. And if this doesn't happen, then I foresee that probably, and I'm speaking only as a member of the board, that we will not continue to ask the county to foot this bill and in a losing cause. We'll have to make a decision one way or the other. Is what we'll have to do, to recommend to the commissioners, because the commissioners make the final decision, not the Board of Health. So that's where we're at with home health care.
And we have taken steps now to try to reduce some of those costs and overhead. We were pretty lean already, and unfortunately, we don't want to lose employees, but we've had to look at reduction in force, and one particular area we don't have enough caseload to sustain the full-time employees. So we have intervened to try to, bring it at least to a break even until we can see if our outreach is successful.
Lincoln County lost $400,000 last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, you only lost $5,000.
Correct.
Okay. So before that, you've always actually had a profit.
Definitely, and it's on one of your slides. I mean, at one point, we would bring in $500,000.
Yeah.
And, Medicare did cuts, they bundled services. I really think with Affordability Care Act has led to some of this. There's a lot of collaborating, and I think before we're done, you will see, especially for orthopedics, that they're bundling those services. We're already seeing that. Before, we would get a referral for somebody for maybe they'd had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, and we would do their therapy until they were back on their feet and able to be independent. And now what we're seeing is they're referred to us for 2 weeks, and then they bring them back into the office for outpatient therapy. When you do that, we lose money. Every home health agency is going to lose money on that, not just us. And then what they're working toward is a bundled service, so that orthopedic practice is responsible for that patient's total care from surgery until the end. So it's just a different climate that home health is operating in now. And it's really hard for those small county-run agencies to compete with national. The scale is just economically really challenging, and I think we've done well. We've actually been done better than any of the other health department-run home health programs, but it's just a different climate we're in now.
Well, times always change, and sometimes you have to change with them, and shut different parts of your department down. I hate to say that, but
It's just really-
taxpayers don't want to put money into a losing operation, especially when you're unsure about what's going to happen in the future.
And their services are there. We're not talking about people not getting care. There's 12 other providers, coming into the community, and they've been there. But you're exactly right, and that's why the board is looking at it.
I don't think that we've seen the full range and scope of the effect of the ACA yet, by any stretch of the imagination. So maybe this is a temporary thing, although I don't think it would be, but we just don't know. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Leanne, let me ask if Larry, I'm not interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
a basic question. Let's say that I'm in need of home health care services. God forbid that I would be, but let's say. And because you mentioned something that's germane to me. Currently, I use Dr. Merrill. And so he's associated with Catawba Memorial or Catawba Valley Medical System. And his inclination, I would imagine, would be to refer me to them or Gentiva.
Yes,
If I demand Alexander Home Health Care Services, why should I, other than being a good Alexander County citizen? Tell me the benefits of doing that, of demanding the care from Alexander Home Health Care.
Well, you're certainly going to get the best of care because it's local people that care. You're also going to keep those tax dollars at home, so you're going to keep the revenue here instead of sending it to definitely another state if you go with the company. And I hate to keep picking on one company, but we are the only local agency, so any of those revenues is going to go out of the county otherwise. Plus, our outcomes are as good as any of our competitors, and on most areas better. So to me, that's you're going to improve quicker, and it's people that are here that care, and we, serve the indigent. I can promise you, none of these competitors are going to take a patient that doesn't have a payer source. So that allows us to take those patients, and we don't have a lot of those. We've had 3 or 4, but had absolutely no way to pay for services. So by keeping it local, you are keeping those services here.
I didn't want to assume the answer, not to interrupt, but I suspected that was the answer because it'd be keeping the dollars in the county.
Yes.
As opposed to sending the dollars out of the county.
And certainly your care. We also want to keep the taxpayers' dollars here and be good stewards of our finances, but also we want you to get the best of care too. So they go hand in hand.
That's what
I wouldn't want to say the opposite either. I mean, you're getting less than quality care, but you keep your money here. I wouldn't want to be here telling you that either, and that's not the case. You can go on the state website, and it shows you outcomes for every home health provider. But it is, even Catawba Valley Medical is not even referring patients to Catawba County Home Health, which I think is quite interesting.
Yes, it is.
Leanne, the decrease in revenues, is that occurring as a downward spiral, or is that a slow slide? Is this happening very quickly?
It was a slow slide until the last 2 or 3 months, and then we always had a little over 100 patients, and then we kind of dropped below that 100, and then the last 2 months we've seen a fairly steep. I think a lot of people aren't having elective surgeries. I think that you're having to get pre-authorization for a lot of these procedures, so it's a lot of the ACA outcomes is what we're starting to feel. So there's a whole long discussion you don't have all night to talk about.
But one thing that happens is that in the past, with home health, with the operations and generating extra revenue, with Leanne and her staff doing an excellent job, that revenue stays in the health department budget.
Right.
So what happens if you do not have that revenue? It will take more tax dollars to support the health department. Again, in the past, we generated a couple $100,000 extra revenue in home health. It stayed in the health department budget. That's where it stays. So we won't have that luxury as it sort of goes, like you said, Commissioner Mayberry. So
until the insurance companies go out of business.
Right.
All right, any other discussion? Leanne, thank you very much. And we'll...
One more quick topic on Ebola.
Me,
Sorry,
I forgot about
it's
that.
not on your agenda. Quick. I want to hopefully not scare the public and let them know that we are here and we're preparing like we have for many other diseases. Ebola, when you just say that, makes people shudder. It is not spread through casual contact. This is one of the posters, information that we're trying to get out to the public and waylay those fears. Very simple, the virus is spread with direct contact, body fluids, and I'll try to keep it G-rated. It is, healthcare workers are going to be exposed. If you've traveled to Africa, if you're around somebody sick, so it's not, fear that you can't go out for the holidays, out to Walmart. The symptoms, why this is kind of scary, the symptoms look a lot like flu, right? So that's why I say, don't travel to Africa, get your flu shot, and wash your hands. About in that order. We want people to realize that, public health is here. We're making sure we've talked with communications. We've met with many, many meetings and all of our partners. We have met with our emergency management department, EMS, school system. We have pulled in all of those community partners. We're planning. We've always had an isolation and quarantine plan. We hope we don't have to use it. But we actually have this year for another disease. So there's a lot of diseases besides Ebola that's much more contagious.
Yes, there are.
So, my thing tonight is, public health, silent cure for Ebola, as well as all other diseases. We're here, so you don't have to worry. Those partners are working diligently. We're asking the questions from the front end to make sure there's not been any exposure. And if we have to put our plans into place, we're ready. We've got supplies. Hopefully that waylays mass panic. We lose lots more people to flu than Ebola.
Exactly. I've been dealing with this. This is actually part of my job as well, and you know this. But more people have died falling down a flight of steps in the last 3 months than in the United States than died of Ebola. So that you got to put everything in perspective, and I think the media has not done this a lot of service.
Exactly. For each patient with Ebola, you're probably going to have 2 more people that get sick. Compared to measles, it's 1 in 18 people. So you really do have to keep your perspective. But we wanted the public to know that we are working on it and we're preparing. If you have questions, feel free to call.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then the county is prepared. It's not like we're sitting back not doing anything. We prepare for these things. But there's more people killed in automobile accidents than anything else, and you never hear people panicking, So
you just
same
mentioned one
situation.
thing, that more people die from the flu
Absolutely.
than die from Ebola.
And we have a vaccine. So we need to partake of the prevention, the public health in me and the prevention.
A vaccine that's administered at the health department, right?
Yes, it is, and we have given a lot. We have ordered 2 more times, and would be happy to order 2 more times. And of course, there's lots of providers in the county vaccinating. We just want you to be protected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Okay. Item number 10, recommendation of architect for Applied Technologies Building Renovation Project. Mr. French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alexander County has received 3 proposals in response to the request for qualifications prepared for the $1.5 million EDA grant to convert the former Apparel Technologies building into a training space for welding, metallurgy, and furniture manufacturing classes. Those that submitted proposals were ADW Architects out of Charlotte, CBSA Architects out of Hickory, Winstead Architects out of Newton. A committee was formed to interview the architectural firms and to make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners. Members of the committee included David Eisenhower, EDC Director, Darrell Robertson, Alexander County Engineer, myself, Sherry Long, Western Piedmont Council of Governments, and also, I'd say, is an EDA expert, Ann Williams with CVCC, Wes Bunch, Keith Mackey, Gary Mueller, and John with CVCC. 2 of the firms were selected to be interviewed by the committee. That was ADW and CBSA. We did that. Everyone was totally in agreement. It was unanimous. The committee recommends CBSA Architects for this project. The references that were given to us were checked out, and they were very positive. There were no problems. And again, the project is basically that would be 4,400 square foot for welding, 1,600 square foot for metallurgy, 7,200 square feet for upholstery, 3,900 square feet for sewing, and 700 square foot for restroom renovations. Phase 2 would include 6,000 to 7,000 square feet for classrooms, and if required, additional toilets. And Phase 3 would include a new, larger entrance and lobby area. Within the EDA guidelines, $206,000 is set aside for architectural fees. The bid by CBSA was, the maximum was $177,000, so it's nearly $30,000 under what EDA allows. So what the committee would like to recommend is that CBSA be awarded the agreement for the Applied Technology Building EDA project, and that you give the staff the I guess, the authority to negotiate if we need to with the agreement with EDA, because we'll have to work with them on this project, and we'll bring all that back to Commissioners so you'll be totally aware of it. EDA has a sign-off on this, but this would allow us, if you approve this tonight, to move forward with the project. And I'll be glad to try to answer any questions. There's a lot of moving parts here.
Mr. French, how much is this EDA grant? How much was Alexander County awarded?
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million?
Yes, sir.
How much money in total grants have been awarded on this CVCC project so far?
Almost $2.5 million.
$2.5 million. I knew that. I'm just asking a question.
Sure.
So
Sure.
other people anybody. And I believe one of the reasons that CBSA was recommended was because they have a lot of experience with EDA grants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
EDA is a
Economic Development Grant, a federal grant that we applied for, and with Sherry Long's help, we're fortunate and we're awarded that. We've already, the committee's already met with a representative of EDA and gone over and looked at the project, so we're anxious to get started.
Mr. French,
Yes, sir.
once the selection of a architect is recommended and the process starts of rehabbing the building, is there an estimation of when the building would be ready for all these different programs?
It would probably take into, well, let's see, the schedule that I have in the information, it would be in 2016, Commissioner Jennings.
Okay.
I can give you details, but basically
No, that's fine.
2016.
I just wanted to kind of a swag on it.
Is there any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve CVSA as recommended as the architect.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve CBSA as the architect for the Applied Technologies building.
That's second.
Motion's made second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. All opposed likewise. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 11 on the agenda, certificate of appreciation to H.D. Blackwell for 40 years of service to the Western Piedmont Council of Governments. It's my honor to read this proclamation here. Dee has been a tremendous asset to the Western Piedmont Council of Governments and also to the citizens in the Unifor area. It says here, whereas H.D. Blackwell Jr. has served the Western Piedmont Council of Governments as a committed and dedicated employee for the past 40 years, and whereas these years of service have been marked by exemplary participation vital for the accomplishments of the communities he served, and whereas his years of service have been characterized by a fervent commitment to improving the community in which he lives and the public he has served, and whereas since 2008 he served as the executive director at the Western Piedmont Council of Government, bringing a well-organized professional staff service to 28 local government members. Under his leadership, the Western Piedmont Council of Governments advanced a variety of service programs, including land use planning, community and economic development, transportation planning, data GIS management assistance, Section 8 housing, Workforce Development Board, Aging, Region E Development Corporation, SBA loans, and other programs and services involving state and federal grant assistance for local development initiatives. And whereas he was instrumental in the Western Piedmont Council of Governments becoming a metropolitan planning organization for transportation, the first COG in North Carolina so designated by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Whereas he helped create and supervise a local assistance planning program offering local governments professional planner services on an as-needed basis. And whereas he managed multiple municipal and county government strategic planning initiatives. And whereas he set the standard for professional services that influenced 4 generations of planners in the region and established a training environment for new planners. Through his guidance, the Planning Department maintained a focus on education and training, the use of new technology, and providing local governments with the best professional advice on critical local planning issues. As a result, the Western Piedmont Council of Government Planning Department has alumni planners who have advanced in successful careers as local government planning directors, city and county managers, private sector consultants, and university faculty members. And whereas he directed efforts in the formation of the Upper Catawba River Water Quality Program, the Western Piedmont Council of Governments Geographic Information System, and led staff research in the development of the Western Piedmont Council of Governments industrial and school growth modeling techniques. And whereas Alexander County gratefully acknowledges his 40 years of faithful service to the Western Piedmont Council of Governments, his 28 local member governments, and this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Alexander County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Alexander County, publicly commends H. D. Witt, D. Blackwell Jr. for his outstanding contributions to the Western Piedmont Council of Governments and the communities they serve. Adopted this 3rd day of November 2014. I'd like to make that as a motion to approve.
Move to approve?
I'll make a second to that.
Oh, you made the motion.
Made and second. D. Blackwell has been a tremendous asset to this community and to the 4-county area. He was very instrumental in getting the new building built for the COG. He has worked diligently to provide the services that need to be done for our community and for other communities. There will be a reception for him. I'm not sure of the date yet. They have not announced it. I know that it's in the planning stages, and as soon as that is done, I will announce that to everyone, and we'll get an article in the newspaper, and I'm sure the COG will also, because he has been an outstanding leader, and just an absolutely outstanding leader in our community and for the COG. The motion on the floor has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. The motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Number 12, Alexander County 127 Bridge Maintenance Project. Mr. French.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of comments. As you're well aware, general maintenance is scheduled on what we call the Bethlehem Bridge or the 127 Bridge over the Catawba River. Proposed work includes pressure washing and painting, bridge deck, and structural steel repairs. Work is to begin approximately April 1st and conclude middle of September of 2015. Work would happen between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. There's a lot more coming on this, but I just want to get that out there. There's been some articles in the paper about it. I've asked Seth Harris and Gary Herman to stay on top of this, and we'll have an announcement, follow-up announcement in January of 2015.
Very good. Maybe after they get the new bridge over 321 built, maybe bring over Lake Hickory there at 321, maybe they'll come down and remember all those fine folks in Alexander County that crossed the bridge on 127. It'd be absolutely magnificent to see them have a new bridge over there. So that's information that the citizens need to know. Thank you, Mr. French.
Thank you, sir.
Budget ordinance amendments number 12, 13, and 14, Mr. French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Budget amendment number 12 is to increase the budget for liability insurance deductible payments, to increase the budget for self-insured group medical due to actual claims paid which exceed the estimated insurance premiums charged to county departments, to increase the TECS budget for the new state curriculum training for the director and the case manager to provide a moral recognition therapy group for the TECS clients. Also to budget for a refund for the North Carolina Department of Justice for 2013-2014 unused balances from JCPC programs, and to increase the Sheriff's Office budget to use detention center canteen revenue for food and supplies for annual employees meeting of full-time and part-time staff. That's budget amendment number 12. Budget amendment number 13 is to increase the DSS budget for FEMA Phase 31 grant funds for emergency assistance payments for food, to decrease DSS budget for expenses to be paid from the Beaver Foundation funds due to the money being spent in fiscal year 2014, with none left to carry over into fiscal year 2015. To increase detention budget for accrued leave payout due to employee leaving county employment, vacation and holiday time payouts were not included in the original budget. To increase the 911 communications budget for accrued leave payout due to an employee transferring from full-time to part-time status, vacation time payouts were not included in the original budget. To increase the EMS budget for accrued leave payouts due to an employee transferring from full-time to part-time status, and for the employee who passed away. Vacation time payouts were not included in the original budget, and that's budget amendment number 13. Earlier tonight, you added budget amendment number 14, and that's for DSS, to increase the DSS budget for the net effect of A, filling only 3 of 6 part-time positions approved in budget amendments number 10 on October 6, 2014, and B, adding 4 full-time positions to address the staffing levels recommended for NC FAST by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. The 4-time positions are estimated to begin December 1st of this year. It'll take funds from, at this time, it'll take funds from the fund balance, but as DSS Director pointed out earlier, she can generate funds addition to that. So hopefully it would cost no funds of county dollars, no tax dollars. And I'll be glad to try to answer a question, but there's a lot in these 3 budget amendments, as you're well aware.
Does anyone have any questions concerning them?
Yeah, Mr. French, on budget ordinance amendment number 14, which we just got today, this afternoon, the 4 full-time positions, that's to implement the NC FAST?
I don't have my, Cindy, you have your, they're in different areas. Okay. So you'll explain which ones.
It is. It would be 2 adult Medicaid positions and 2 family and children's Medicaid positions. And I'm sure you're wondering, why in the world did you come 2 months ago and say you needed 6 part-time positions, and now tonight you're saying you need 4 full-time positions?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I know it is. So the reason is because when I came forward for 6 part-time positions, I based that on the commission board's kind of commitment to there would be no new FTEs in the county. And I needed help. And I was basing that on the work at hand and the amount of comp time that is just accruing like crazy. I have 4 people that have 160 hours. I got, last week, I sat in on a telephone call. It was a county manager call, and I also, where they really talked to us about staffing levels and being able to handle what's coming at us from the Affordable Care Act. Then I got an email from the NC FAST team specifically speaking to Alexander County and said to us, we are understaffed, and that we are not, based on their projections of what's coming at us from the Affordable Care Act when the open enrollment begins November the 15th, that we are not going to be able to handle that volume. And so they gave us real specific numbers based on the open cases we have right now, how much work could the people we've got do, and then the new applications that are going to come at us from Affordable Care Act. And you know, last year, I came to you and talked to you about this. For 3 weeks, we got 16 applications a day, and that was on top of our regular work. What's also added this year is Medicaid has rolled into NC Fast. So what took us about 15 to 30 minutes to do a recertification before now takes an hour and a half to 2 hours for each recertification. And I've sent Florida a big sheet, and that showed you exactly what they told us, the work coming at us. 544 recertifications for adult Medicaid between now and December the 31st. There's just no possible way that the staff that we have can handle this amount of work. Yes, sir.
Cindy, where are you getting your part-time people from?
Well, I have been getting my part-time people. I have 4 people on staff right now, and I've been getting them from Catawba County. And
what's the likelihood of you being able to even, once this hits us, it's going to hit them too, so what's the likelihood of you keeping them?
It is, and very, very unlikely. Actually, 2 of them have spoken to me in the last couple of weeks that Catawba County just mandated 6 hours a week of comp time, of overtime, and they're going to pay them time and a half. 6 hours a week for all of their, so every county is being hit by this. But I'm going to lose those part-time people because they're going to make as much working 6 hours back home in their home county and being paid time and a half as they are to drive over to Alexander County and work maybe 16 hours a week for me. So the staff that I already have on board, not these new 6 positions, I may lose them, plus not be able to hire these part-time. I am asking you to let me keep 3 of those 6 part-time positions I asked for because they are critical needs positions, and I'm going to try to get them hired. But we need, besides that, and that's already approved, you've already approved that, that's in the budget. The other 3 positions, we backed them out, and that's why this revenue, these expenses look so low. We backed those 3 part-time positions out and said, okay, we won't hire those other 3 part-time people. We got to have 4 full-time people. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, and we're throwing a lot of ACA and NC Fast and all this stuff.
I'm sorry.
ACA, we're referring to Obamacare.
Correct.
NC Fast, would you explain to the people that are watching or listening what that is? I mean, we all know what this has been, but...
Okay, it's North Carolina Families Accessing Services Through Technology, and what it is an automated system that actually specifically, if you put the correct information into the system, it determines eligibility. However, there's tons and tons of policy. Medicaid is a very complex program with multiple different, you have Medicaid for infants, Medicaid for families and children, Medicaid for pregnant women, there's adult Medicaid, long-term, special assistance, multiple programs with lots and lots of policy. So if they don't put the correct information into the system, it can't correctly determine eligibility for the programs.
Hopefully in a year or 2 or less, then this is going to be a big time saver for you, NC Fast.
We sure hope so.
Okay.
We're a little discouraged at this point, but we do with family and with food and nutrition services. We are starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We were in the same place with food and nutrition, if you remember when I spoke to you before a couple years ago. And we're about 2 years in now with food and nutrition. We're starting to see a little bit of movement. With Medicaid, we've just hard launched back in September, so we are just getting in, and Medicaid's a much more complicated program.
And this is all technology, software, comprehensive software, putting this all together so that theoretically it's going to save time in the long run and save money. So.
Right. Staff are having to wait for system glitches. There are problems with the program that are having to be worked out as we go. The system's slow, so on a day when you've got 25 cases that you need to process, if you can't get but 2 or 3 through the system because the system's sluggish, you've got staff that are just frustrated to death. And we've had 43% turnover in a year in economic services.
Okay, Cindy, so that brings us to a very, so you got turnover with these individuals already you're going to hire 4 new hires. You're going to have to train them in the NC Fast. And how long is that training curve? And will we have some attrition while that happens because of this?
I can't promise you that that won't happen. We have had an amazing amount of turnover, and I will be very honest with you, all of our surrounding counties pay better than we do.
Yeah.
So as we train them, they go to other counties. And I can't stop that whatsoever. Plus the workload that we have here in our county, think about 160 hours of comp time. That's 4 weeks of comp time. And I can't allow them to take time off because when one person takes a day off, 2 more people are carrying that load for that day.
Well, they may be, but at the same time, I really think some other people need to start taking comp time. I think it's vitally important to employees, no matter who they are, whether it's public, whether it's private, whether it's government or who, I think it's vitally important that those people take some comp time and take some time away from the job so they can refresh themselves. And, it's not fair to them to continue to work like they're working and not take time off to refresh themselves. You get burned out. And I think it should be mandatory that these people take their comp time and take at least 3 days, a 3-day weekend. That needs to absolutely happen. And I understand, folks, but I'm telling you, I think that you can refresh yourself by taking an extra day. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know they're consumed with it. But somebody, somewhere, you got to have a break and you got to refresh yourself. It has to happen. And, I agree that it's hard. I agree the state government's coming down hard on you. Federal government. But at the same time, I think there comes a point where you got to refresh yourself.
And I agree with you, Larry, and I've tried to put that into place. Since you came on our board and talked to us about that, we've put our people with the most comp time in a rotation of taking a Friday off. But I will tell you what happened when I talked to them about that. They cried. They said it'll be worse when I come back because I've taken the time off. But we have put that into place. We have got someone off every single Friday, so we are causing them to take that time off. However, I want you to understand what are the repercussions of all of this. If we can't process the Medicaid applications, if we don't get the recertifications done, you're going to have adults at the hospital that are getting ready to have surgery that their Medicaid's not processed and through.
I totally understand that, and I respect that, but I still think that people need a refresher.
Are you saying that it's the system's fault that they can't process it faster?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, what is more people going to do about that? How are you going to, if the system is down and people can't get the information in it and get the case processed, how is hiring more people going to do it?
Well, if you have more applications coming at you than you have right now, though, that's what they took into consideration. Our current workload plus what's going to be coming. November the 15th, open enrollment will happen again for the Affordable Care Act.
The next cycle for Obamacare.
They do it every year.
That's right. There'll be an open enrollment.
Information in each year.
That's correct. And there's been so much more publicity about it now, we feel like there'll be a greater response versus a smaller response to it. And you are right, there is a training curve, and it takes its toll on the managers who have to train these people. It absolutely does. But if we don't hire some people, 6 months down the road, we're going to be in just as bad or worse shape than we are right now. We have to get some folks in here to be able to help process the work.
Is there any private entity, any contractor that's out there saying, hey, we are a private contractor and we'll come in and help? Is there anyone available out there that's stepping up and saying, we have people that help you process your NC Fast?
No, sir. There are temp services like Vanguard. There are some temp services out there that say they've got people who are trained, but when I talk to the NC Fast team, they need to be trained within our system.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that administer Medicaid.
Sounds like a market.
It is.
Whose fault is it that the system is down?
I know what I'm going to do when I get off the board.
I think that any time you go through a process this big, you're going to go through some growing pains. Unfortunately, it's at our expense this time. The state did do a pilot project, and they did test system in some counties, but they unfortunately did not get all the glitches out of the system, and
That is the problem.
we are too far in to go backwards.
Right. There's no-
The whole problem
Millions
started,
of
and I don't
dollars.
mean to interrupt you totally, excuse me, but the whole problem started when they decided to implement the program without the program being ready to go. And they didn't have the computer set up so that all the glitches were out of it so that it would go through. And I don't think it was set up to handle the mass that has gone into the system. And it's totally been the fact that they tried to hurry and implement the program and do this, and it's just cost mass. It's all across the state. The same complaints are going everywhere. Everywhere you go, you hear it from every single county, so it's not just here. You know, it's very frustrating, it's very aggravating, but at the same time, we've got to get it done. If we don't get it done, then we're going to run into the problem.
From December the 1st until the end of this fiscal year, it will cost us $20,407 it would be county monies to hire these 4 positions.
That's not all the money that's required. You've got group insurance, you've got retirement, you've got FICA.
That's the balance after you take the revenues off, $20,407. All of these expenses minus this $25,000 would be, the net would be $20,407 in county money.
$25,000 coming off of?
I'm sorry?
You're saying the net is $20,000?
$407. If you add up the expenses that are listed on this page, and then that very last thing is a revenue, that's the $75.25 that I've been talking to you about reimbursement. If you take the expenses minus that revenue, it would cost the county $20,407 to add these 4 positions for the rest of this fiscal year.
Let me tell you where I'm coming from. I don't like to hire any more employees full-time in this county. I understand your situation, but when you add full-time employees, you can't, and this is a crass way of saying it, it's not easy if somewhere down the road those employees are no longer needed for whatever reason. You can't just say, you don't have a job anymore, I'm letting you go. You've got to pay them unemployment insurance and all the things that go along with that. I personally, I may be outvoted, but I don't have enough information to make because we just got this information. And I understand your situation, but we just got this information, and the memo that I got is dated October 31st. It's a memo from Rick that came to us. The information came from you to Rick, and then Rick sends it to us, dated October 31st, and here we are, a couple of days later, and we've got to make a decision. I can't make a decision on hiring full-time people. I understand the workload that you're saying that's there, but if it was up to me alone, I would say, let's have some more consultations on this before we make a decision on budget amendment 14. And I know you've got stuff coming down the road, but hiring 4 full-time people, I can't support it.
Well, I appreciate that. If I could just say, Berkey, the email came to me on October the 30th. I the same day, talked to Rick about this. I did not have this information. This list that I've given you that says how many more staff we need came from the NC Fast team at the State Division. It did not come from Cindy Ullman or unplanned, unexpected. I'm trying to move because November the 15th is 2 weeks away, and we will get the Medicaid application. So I will do whatever you decide, but I want you to understand that when your citizens, when we can't process their Medicaid applications, they're going to come to you. They're not going to just come to me. They're going to come to you because it is medical care for people that need it. And
Cindy, will there be a possible penalty if we
May
don't
I
have
finish
you
my conversation?
Will you finish?
Cindy, I understand the fact that you just got the information, and then you sent it to Rick, and Rick sent it to us, and the condensed time frame, and the deadlines that you're going to have to meet when the floodgate opens. But I'm just telling you, unless I have some more time to look this information over, I can't make it. I'm telling you personally, I'm only one of 5. I can't make a decision tonight to approve 4 full-time people. Part-time people are different because they're part-time and the ramifications of part-time. And I understand what you wrote in your memos about you can't find part-time people because Catawba County is willing to pay them overtime, and you can't. I understand that. I just think we need a little bit more time, a day, where the Finance Committee, for example, Larry and I sit down with you and go over this. I understand it, but I want to make sure I understand it right this minute. I'm just telling you, I cannot vote to approve full-time employees. And I'm only one of 5.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm certainly willing to do whatever is needed to get us where we need to do, and to make you feel better about that if there's something that I can do to explain it further, or to sit down and answer questions, whatever you need. We were kind of in panic mode because November the 15th is right around the corner, and I knew we were overworked. I know my people have got too much comp time. I don't know what will happen with this kind of volume. I was not anticipating they're doing this based on the volume that is going to come at us from the Affordable Care Act, when the open enrollment, plus what we've got going on. So we're earning 160 hours of comp time per worker with the work we have on hand. So I
understand. I know you do. And I appreciate the situation you're in, but I'm not prepared to make a decision to hire 4 full-time people at this meeting time.
Rick, excuse me, Mr. French.
Yes, sir.
When you and I had this conversation over the weekend or Friday, I don't remember, I think bang, 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 I got into a 3-way, not with her, but we had a 3-way conversation that went from her to you to me. Do we need an opportunity to talk to the association and see how they were doing and see what the situation was across the state?
It's all
and what they were saying?
It's all over the state.
Okay, so basically what the association is saying, that these things have got to happen in order for this to, okay, that's what I wanted to know. That's one of the things I asked Rick to do, to check with the association to see, because I knew that talking with Rebecca Troutman, who I have a tremendous amount of confidence in the way she does things for us and through the state. She's very, very, very good. And that's what I want to make sure.
There was a statewide webinar dealing with this, and it's all across the state.
Okay.
Caldwell added positions. As you just heard, Catawba County just enforced 6 hours of mandated comp time for each employee, and they are way huge
Mr. French
compared to us.
and Mr. Yoder, I would have appreciated to be part of that conversation since I serve on the Finance Committee.
Well, I understand that, sir, but you got to understand I just asked to make the phone call to check with the
I understand that, but I would appreciate to have been in the loop on some of this conversation.
I apologize for not being so. That's why I didn't get the answer from the association until just right then, because I just asked them to check it. I didn't have the
I'm not
information.
fussing at you, I'm just saying.
Oh, I know, that's fine.
That conversation.
But, yeah.
But as it stands right this minute, I mean, we've got a budget, we've got 3 budget amendments in front of us. I'm just telling you, I can't support budget amendment my number 14. I may be outvoted, but I can't do it.
Cindy, I got one question here. The state aid DSS, you got $25,734 of revenues coming in. Do you expect that to be roughly the same each year?
We'll be drawing down the 75-25 reimbursement, and we've been told that that will be recurring into the new budget year, that will be, as long as we are implementing NC Fast, that we will be drawing down that 75% reimbursement. So they're anticipating, I think, a couple of years of this process, just like we did with FNS, that it's going to take us a while to get over this learning curve with the
Cindy,
system.
did you return any money to us tonight? Let's just cut through a lot of this. How much did you return to the county tonight?
44,000. Let me find that.
It's in your child welfare update.
12,500. $42,424 in one pot and $12,557
And
in
you're
another
asking for
pot.
how much?
I'm asking for $20,407.
I'm not interested in adding any more employees to the county either, but facts is facts. We're probably going to get penalized if we get too far behind.
Well, you've seen the news. I mean, Alexander, we've never been on the news in these 2 years. You've seen. The other thing I would ask you to do is think about my leadership over the last 4 years. We've never gone over budget, as long as I've been here. But to answer your question, yes, there are repercussions to us not getting. The bigger repercussion is somebody not getting a child not getting their seizure medicine, or a child not being able to take their ADHD medicine, or somebody getting ready to have surgery and the Medicaid not being in place and their surgery having to be postponed. I mean, those are the reality ramifications to the community that we would have to answer. But there are bigger ramifications. Yes, there are. There are processing rules and guidelines, and it's federal money. It's a federal program. It's a mandated program. It's not like we get to decide whether we're going to administer this or not. So we will do the best we can, but with 43% turnover, and I'm going to have more turnover if I continue to work people the way we're working them. And I agree with you, Larry. I want them to be able to take time off. I wish I could give every one of them a week at a time.
I mean, you
But
can
if
work,
they go
work,
home-
but you've got to revitalize yourself.
How do we?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Is the caseload that much more? Or is it just that the work is that much more?
I asked
More paperwork, in other words.
I asked the supervisor today to get me some numbers, some estimates about timing right now with NC Fast. It takes, if you look on I gave you a handout, between December the 23rd and December the 31st, we have 189 adult Medicaid. It's anticipated that we'll take 189 new adult Medicaid applications.
What do you base that on?
On the current volume. They'll take 12 months of how many we've taken in that 12 months and get an average, and they'll project based on the historical.
So you think that they're going to keep coming?
Yes, we do.
I mean, but what is causing that? We're not getting more people.
Poverty and need for services, and
Get more people eligible.
the green. If I go back to the Greenway presentation, or the 5310 presentation a minute ago, not Greenway. There are some numbers in this project that talks about the population, how it's going to grow. The baby boomers are coming into the aged population, and it's pretty amazing if I can find it.
And didn't Obamacare raise the Medicaid limits by
It did.
25%, so you've got a lot more people that are eligible?
Correct.
Cindy,
And they have to go, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let me just say it again.
Okay.
At this moment in time, and I know November 15th is coming quickly, at this moment in time, I understand everything you said so far, but I'd like a timeout that you and I and Rick and Larry, the Finance Committee, with you sit down with us and explain it to us. I'm not saying you're doing it in a hurried fashion right now, but in a fashion that I can understand exactly why we need 4 full-time people in this time frame. I know there's federal mandates and there's time issues because you've got to have time to find these people, to hire them and get them trained so they can handle the caseload. But right now, there's a little bit of information over here tonight. There's a little bit of information over here, and I don't have it in a logical fashion. All I've got is a couple of emails in your spreadsheet, and that's all I have.
And I apologize to you about that. Normally, I would go to my board, which I did, two of your commissioners got emails from me. I immediately sent that email that I got from the State Division and the projections straight to my board. Normally, I would go to my board, let them make a recommendation that I come bring that forward to you. I did not go that process. I went straight to the county manager, but just because November the 15th is looming out there. But I hear what you're saying. I will do whatever this commission board decides. Obviously, I will.
It's not up to me to make a decision on what the next step is. If the chairman wants to call for a vote or for a motion for a vote, he can do that. But I'm just telling you, I'm not prepared at this time to make a positive vote on Budget Amendment 14.
But here's what I'm going to do, based on the amount of discussion that we've had. I'm going to entertain a motion to approve these amendments one at a time. We've got 12, 13, and 14. I'll entertain a motion at this time on the amendments. And we'll do Amendment 12 first, then Amendment 13, then Amendment 14. So the floor is open for motions.
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we approve budget ordinance amendments number 12 and 13.
Individually. We're going to do them individually. One at a time.
Mr. Chairman, I vote that we approve budget ordinance amendment number 12.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of amendment number 12 indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion now on amendment number 13.
I make a motion we approve Budget Amendment 13.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. Motion carries. Amendment 14.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve budget ordinance amendment number 14.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. Motion carries 3-2. Next item on our agenda is the other business. County Manager, Mr. Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of things. I'm sorry, I know it's late, but there's a couple of things I need to bring to your attention, and also a couple of items for action. One, you have a copy of the county sales tax revenue report. We've changed the report up a little bit to try to not put so much information like you had before and trying this. Last month, we collected $350,803 in sales tax revenues. This month, we've collected $289,646. That's 17.7% collected, with basically 16.7% of the budget year expiring up to this time. Again, the budget figure for 2014-2015 is $3,605,000. Compared to last year, we've collected $640,449 in 2014. For this time period last year, we collected $582,563, or an increase of $57,885, $57,885, and that's a 9.9, almost a 10% increase in collections in sales tax revenues. That's one item. I'm just going to roll through them, okay? Okay. Over the last few months, and as you're well aware, we currently have, as mentioned earlier, we have a Bethlehem Ellendale water project that's rolling along. There's still some parts of that we're working on, but it's moving along. County engineers doing a good job with this project. Through the process in working with McGill Engineering, who in the past has done our water projects, we still have a number of water projects that are should be on the horizon, and I'll just mention some of those. Polly Bowman, there's an area in Polly Bowman that we've looked at where it needs an 8-inch water line. The estimated cost by the engineers is $670,000. B&T Lane needs water. That area needs water. It's a 6-inch water line. The estimated cost is $230,000. the whole part of Teaktown Road that's not covered, it needs to be covered with needs to be 12-inch water line in that area, $1.5 million. An area over on Eichard Ridge where 8-inch water line is needed for $480,000. And then we had also looked sometime back at an area over Zeb Watts, Ned Herman, Liberty Grove area with an 8-inch water line, but that area would cost $1.6 million. And we started looking at this 3 or 4 years ago, and anyway, just want to bring those numbers and those areas to your attention. But we still have areas in the county, as we all know, that need water.
Mr. French?
Yes, sir.
I would just ask you, when you refer to Polly Bowman, is Polly Bowman with one L?
It is. That's what I've got in my report.
Okay.
Thank you. Also, an item that we haven't spoken about, but you notice the audit, you haven't heard much about the audit, and I have a note in the county manager's report or update, and due to the statewide delay in receiving Medicaid information from NCDHHS, the auditor's estimated will be late November when the county's audit is submitted to the LGC. The auditors won't print the final bound copies of the audit report until the LGC approves the financial statements, so the audit presentations probably won't take place until January 2015. It won't be ready by December 1st. So that's as late as we've ever received it. But we have not received, there's been a lot of delays in receiving the Medicaid information, so I just want to point that out. You've also been given a copy of the first quarter financial report for fiscal year 2014-2015 for Smoky Mountain Center. That information has been supplied to you. I've given you the sales tax report. There's 2 other items, and those are action items I just want to mention to you. One is Commissioner Moose, Chairman Yoder, and I, when we went to Asheville to the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners meeting, we looked at a pictometry system, which is really a ortho-digital imagery system. It's a mapping tool that provides 3-dimension views of structures as opposed to sort of the current aerials that we get that just have the rooftop views. It was very impressive. The counties all around us use that system. We asked the folks about looking into providing that service for Alexander County. In doing that, we would save $51,000, which is what we have to pay for the photography that's done every 4 years. We would save that. It would cost us roughly $110,000 over 6 years for the first term of this, providing this service. And this service can not only be used by the tax office, it could be used by all the emergency services. There's a number of real advantages. We have the first year's payment, as you have in your information, is $13,201. That's all. We already have funds available in our reval budget that we could take those out of for the 2014-2015 fiscal year. Then we have to budget it so much in funds, and you have that information in your packet over the next 5 years. And that, again, that would save us from spending the $51,000. But this is an excellent tool, mapping tool that can be used by a lot of different folks. And if you see, it was very impressive, and we saw it in Asheville.
Mr. French, were you able to see how far up they came into Alexander County? They stopped at Bethlehem School?
Yes, they did, yes. And it's just amazing. Catawba has it, Caldwell has it, Wilkes has it. It's all, when you see Iredell has it, and you can see they go over, there's overlap into Alexander County. They
showed us how far we go, and all that is very just unbelievable.
And so in order to move forward with it, if you would agree, if you would allow us to we don't really need to do a budget amendment tonight. We just need, if you would approve the agreement that's included in your packet, then we've got the first years covered on this pictometry system. And you've got the information on it. If you have questions, I'm sure you do. This is an opportunity we have to be part of this. Again, this is something that we've had different displays for different systems. GIS is interested in this, tax office is interested in this, Reval is interested in this, and again, it can be used by a number of different other departments in emergency services.
Emergency management is interested in it.
Yeah, they're very interested.
That's a great tool for emergency services.
But tonight, we need to approve the agreement on this system. And I'll try to answer your questions if I can at this time.
Yes, I want a motion. Yes, I want to leave one on.
You said we had the first year taken care of. What did you mean?
The
Through
first-
revow?
Yes, ma'am, there's money in Reval we can use to pay for this. So it wouldn't be new money.
Entertain a motion.
You would.
I make a motion that we approve the Pictometry International Corporation's agreement with Alexander County to enter into an agreement for this program. And put that in form of a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move that we move to agree the Pictometry International Corporation and Alexander County contract as presented in the packet.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion?
Great system.
It is a fantastic system. Whenever we looked at it in Nashville, I'm going to tell you something, it's fantastic for fire departments, for 911, and extremely in hostage situations for law enforcement. I mean, this thing will show you, I mean, he can sit back there and they tell him he can go 22 steps straight ahead to the east. There's a door entrance there, nobody, and give him every entrance to the house, every entrance for the fire department to make entry. It's a great system. It'll save police officers' lives. It'll save citizens' lives. It'll also enhance our tax office and for the everything that they need. It's a great system, and it'll really move us forward.
This will be available, if it's replacing the GIS, it will be available to the public as well, right?
It'll also be available to fire departments.
Yes, it'll be available.
For the tech savvy out there, it's basically a three-dimensional Google Earth, and it gives you multiple oblique views of the property, so, I can't wait to see it.
It's very good.
I've actually seen it and used it. Instead of looking straight down on the rooftop, you can look, it's like you're looking from the front of the house.
Street level view.
Where will it be housed?
It'll be on the computer system.
Okay. In other words,
Be accessible to 911, be accessible to law enforcement, fire departments.
the public?
The GIS, you'll be able to pull it up on the GIS and look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any other motions been made, seconded, any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries.
One last thing I have, Mr. Chairman. We've been working with CVCC on a memorandum of agreement, basically to outline how the flow of funds, since we're dealing with so many different grants and funding sources on this applied technologies building. For example, we have Golden Leaf money, and that flows through CVCC. We have EDA money, it flows through the county. We have ARC money, it flows through the county. Alexander County's putting money into this. And so what we did was work on an agreement that CVCC has agreed to that basically outlines how that flow works, how the departments work together. It's more of an interdepartmental type thing. It also, another thing it does, as I think was requested by a couple of the commissioners, it makes it clear about the purchase of any, for example, of any welding equipment that was purchased with Golden Leaf funds, that those would stay here, and this, since they were purchased for our project. It addresses records. It addresses the numbers of the thing. It ties in with the lease that we have with the property. We're just trying to make it so that we can work closely and we have something to cover that. So I'd like for that agreement to be covered or approved by the board if possible tonight.
I think everybody understands on Golden Leaf money, it's sort of like the part of money. You can't move it, change it, take it, or anything else.
Yes, sir.
So that's understandable. I entertain a motion to approve the agreement between CVCC and the county. and Alexander County, excuse me.
You're not, you're not.
I request a motion, if you don't mind.
I move to approve the agreement between the Alexander County government and CVCC.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries.
That's all I have.
The consent agenda.
Let me ask one question of the
Go ahead, sir.
county manager. Mr. French, what time does the Christmas parade start?
Starts at 5. At 3, I'm sorry.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, I'm sorry.
3 o'clock.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
You need a motion for the consent.
Yes, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. Mr. French, do we need a closed session?
No, sir.
Very good, sir. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries.
Back in 2 years.